Greetings, you guys. Long time no speak. Oh my goodness. It's been a minute. So there's so much that um so many transitions and shifts and changes that have been taking place for me. So I just wanted to come on here and do a quick this could be for you message. You know, yeah, my channel has shifted a lot. Um I don't know how long I'm going to be on YouTube or how often I'll be on YouTube. I'll probably do a whole video on that, like a whole, just what's been going on with me. Um, for anybody that cares, at least, where things have shifted for me. I took a break from, um, doing tarot readings and stuff like that. I've been doing my sessions and still been reading and stuff like that for people, or just, I wouldn't call it reading, but just helping them, giving them divine guidance and stuff like that, and taking a break from the cards and being codependent upon them and stuff like that, and just been seeking God more and just spending time with God. Um, so there's been a lot of things, a lot of shifts that are taking place. So I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with my channel, whether I'm going to continue to do messages on here or not. So um, yeah, a lot have shifted. A lot of things have changed, and um, I'm kind of just going with the flow of it all. Just going with the flow and the transition that I'm going through. And that is the message that I wanted to get into today, is about transitions. I'm going to share a couple of things with you guys that have been revealed to me, and the vision I had today while I was just spending time with God. I had this crazy vision that came to me, so I'm going to share that with you guys. The card, this is like a little prayer box, prayer cards. It's prayers to strengthen your faith. They're just like cute little prayer cards. They have scripture on them. The one that I pulled was Jeremiah 10 and 6 through 7. And it says, Lord, there is no one like you, for you are great and your name is full of power. Who would not fear you, O King of nations? The title belongs to you alone. Among all the wise people of the earth and all of the kingdoms of the world, there is no one like you. So that Jeremiah has been coming up a lot. Like every time I open my Bible, like I'll just like randomly turn a page just to get a message, and Jeremiah always comes up. So I need to spend some time reading that a little bit more. You guys know, or some of you guys may not know, but I like to break down the Bible and its messages and stuff like that in a way that resonates with me, makes sense, um, to where I'm at on my own personal journey and things like that. So yeah, Jeremiah's been coming up a lot. Joshua, the story of Joshua and Moses keeps coming out a lot for me too. So funny story. I was last week, because I just got home from California. I spent 2 weeks in California, and I went to the Malibu beach. This was last Sunday, and it was like some amazing things that took place at the, like every time I go to the beach, no matter whatever beach I go to, it's always something um, miraculous that happens. Like how God shows Himself. Hey sis, what's up, Brianna? What's up, everybody? Greetings, Mimi, Rochelle, Pink Diamond, Snowflower, Luna, Breezy. Greetings, everybody. Bianca, what's up? So, I was at the beach Sunday, and I was just like spending time with God, and something told me to bring my little tarot cards. I have like these little tiny tarot cards. They're like this big, like mini little tarot cards. My hand looks like a lobster. I'm gonna get into that. That's funny. Anyway, so if you guys follow me on Instagram, I have posted a picture of something I found at the ocean. So I was walking or whatever, and I went to the beach with my aunt because I was accompanying her while she was out there for business. She had, some stuff with her job, and she invited me to come with her on her trip. So I needed the getaway. So, of course, I took it. So we went to the beach that day, and I was like sitting by myself while she was doing whatever she was doing. And I was just sitting with God and just listening. And I got up to go to the, like I wanted to put my feet in the water. And when I put my foot in the water, like something washed up on the ocean. And my aunt was like, look, look. And I was like, oh, that's a lobster. I was all excited thinking that it was a lobster that I could cop real quick so I can go home and wash it. And somehow in the hotel room, I don't know how this is possible. I was hoping that I could probably cook it. But he didn't have any meat in him. I guess something in the ocean ate him or whatever. I don't know. But he washed up on the shore. And something led me to pull some cards. So I pulled, from what I can remember, it's on my Instagram. It was the moon. I know for sure it was the moon because the lobster in that stood out to me. And I was like, that's freaking crazy. So I pulled the moon card, the death card. I think it was the Queen of Cups. And what was so significant, actually the moon card was at the bottom of my deck, and something told me to, because I always look at the top and the bottom of my deck, and I flipped it around and it was the moon card. And if you know the traditional tarot card of the moon, there's a lobster in that card. And during that time, it was the Scorpio new moon. You know, the death card is Scorpio energy. The Queen of Cups, that's water. It was a lot of water. It was a lot of oceanic energy. So I just thought it was just so crazy how God speaks. And I put the meaning of what lobsters mean. If you guys want to go on my Instagram, the Walu Child on Instagram. It was a post about a week ago. I don't post so much, like I don't post too much, so it's easy to find. But yeah, it was interesting. I thought that was crazy. But it's always something when I go to the beach, like it'll be some type of message or something to find. And God knows how to speak to me. And it's usually through animals. It'll be through music, symbols, numbers, like certain things. God speaks to us differently. Those are one of the main ways that God speaks to me. So I thought that was interesting. So then the Moses thing. After I left the beach, we were on our way back, or actually we were headed somewhere. We were headed to a family's house from the beach. So we got back on the road and I passed by this billboard. It was like a surfer store or something like that. And it was this strange picture. It caught me off guard. It was like a big picture of an ocean, and the ocean looked like it was split in two. And I was like, that looks like, it made me think of the story of Moses when he parted the Red Sea. It made me think of that. And I was getting a lot of messages about Moses. Like I always hear that. And that's one of the stories in the Bible that I really resonate with. I really resonate with that story. That story always stood out to me. The Prince of Egypt is also one of my favorite movies when I was little, like hands down. And then Joshua, the name Joshua comes to me every now and then. And Joshua was pretty much like, he was a spy for, he was like reporting things back that was going on in Egypt and things like that, reporting it back to Moses or what have you. He was like his, I guess you could say like an understudy, if we could put it like a modern term or whatever. So after Moses had passed, Joshua took on, took Moses' place in a sense where he was helping to, he was helping the Israelites. He was leading them to the promised land, basically. And the story of Joshua stood out to me as well, because the story of the Jordan River, too, that's another thing. Jordan River has been coming up a lot. And this is just so random, but I was watching, I'm all over the place. It's going somewhere, I promise. I was watching Bernie Mac on my way back home because we drove to California and back to Phoenix. So we were watching the Bernie Mac show, and it was like this part of the episode, I think it's season 1, episode 2, I think it was, and his nephew Jordan, his name is Jordan, and he had like a problem where he didn't know how to like go to the bathroom right or whatever. So that episode was called River of Jordan. And it was funny because this past week, I had did a daily message and I was talking about the Jordan River. So I thought that was like weird. So all of this goes together. So what I'm getting at with this is that this is a message of transition. So if you think about the story of the Israelites, they were in bondage for years, like their ancestors, their ancestors, and so on and so forth went through bondage in Egypt. They were slaves in Egypt. And in the story of Moses, at his time, all of the male Israelite children were being executed. All the Hebrew children were being murdered and slaughtered. They were getting rid of them. It was like, there's too many of these. We need to cut the boys, like cut them off. And Moses was spared by his mother. She put him in the river. More references to a river, right? So she put him. And water for me is a portal. When I think of water, I think of a portal. I think of a gateway. I think of the womb, a mother's womb, giving birth to something. I also think of purification and cleansing. So stick with me. But she put him in the water, right? And he finds his way to the Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh was the ruler at the time. So if you think of like the government, let's say he was like the president or whatever of that time. He was the ruler. And here comes this Hebrew baby that they take on. Now, Moses obviously is different from the Egyptians, but they look alike in some respect. Like, he could get away with being an Egyptian, even though he's not them. It's not the same tribe as them, but he could fit in. So I feel like for a lot of you, this message keeps coming up with transitions and shifts and changes in your life that you're going through. It's not an easy process, and I feel like Spirit's putting you in spaces where it would otherwise appear that you don't belong, that you're not supposed to be there, but or it looks like you fit in, but there, in essence, you don't fit in with that environment. You're nothing like the people that you're surrounded by. There's something about you. It's like a light being put in a dark space. That's how I'm getting it. It's like you're being put in this space of energy to shift things, to transition. So if Moses was never planted in the place of the kingdom and the rulers at that time, if he would have never been brought into that family, he wouldn't be able to shift the things that he did at that time and free his people out of bondage under the rulership of the Pharaoh at the time. And his brother Ramesses became the ruler once he came back on his divine mission to free his people, right? So Moses was a very stubborn person, so it wasn't going to be an easy task for him. So whatever you're being put into, and this could even resonate with family, sometimes your assignment, and a lot of times your assignment is going to be your family, being put in an environment where you're like the black sheep, and you're not always going to fit in, even though you're born of them. You guys look alike. You guys look like your mama, your auntie, whoever, but you're nothing like them. And you're meant to bring some type of shift, whatever you're assigned to. In this season, though, it's a little more deeper than that. Whenever you watch this, because I'm going to say that this is a timeless message for whenever you need it, because prophetic words and messages, if it's for you, it's for you. It's not about something so strict and precise that it's got to be this and it's got to be that. Spirit is way more infinite than that. But when you go into this transition that you're going in, it's not going to be an easy task. It wasn't easy for Moses to just come up and back in Egypt. After he did what he did, he murdered one of the Egyptian, it was like a guard or whatever, that he murdered him. He was beating a slave, and Moses killed him. So they ran him out of Egypt. He had to dip out of Egypt. So when that happened, he came after he fled, and he came back with his divine mission. It was not easy for him to just step back up into where he was at. And once he came in, he gave them a fair warning, like, hey, Spirit said you got to free my people, or this and that is going to happen. And you might have to be the person that comes into a space and shift things, and people may not be ready for that. People are not ready for the change. It's not an easy task. So if you're put into, let's say, a workspace, and they're thinking you're just another employee, and oh cool, she's just like us, and blah blah blah, she's here to work, and you might be there to work, but there's something that you're going to do to shift things in that place, in that environment. And I don't feel like everybody is going to take it well. Moses, when he came in, he was like, this is going to happen to y'all people if you don't free them. And Ramesses was like, I don't give a crap about what your God is saying. You know, I got my gods over here. You know, we could do this and that. And then Moses was like, okay, bet. Let me show you what my gods can do. And everything that Ramesses tried to duplicate, Moses, under the Holy Spirit, outnumbered that, overdid it, and started causing destruction in Egypt. It was all these different things that were happening, all these different plagues, and all of these um, famine of the animals. I think it was the animals were dying off. They covered the land with frogs and mosquitoes. Like crazy stuff was happening, and still Ramesses would not let up. And Moses had to warn him, like, "Hey, I'm gonna have to tell you, the spirit of death is about to roam up in here, and if you don't free them, if you don't cover." He even tried to tell him to cover his son, because all the firstborn, the plague of death was going to come in Egypt, and it was gonna take out anybody that didn't have the blood covering the door. And even that in itself, when I think of it, not from a let's say like a, how I explain it, not like in a way of like literal sense. I'm getting it from a symbolic sense, like the blood, the spirit of God covering your door, your gateway, your portals, your entry points into your life, covering your children, covering your firstborn. Everyone knows that the firstborn is like that one that sets the tone for the rest of the children, right? They're almost like the leader in a way. So the firstborns are very significant. So he was like, I'm warning you, like, there's a plague of death that's coming in, and it's going to wipe out all the firstborn if their doors are not covered with this, I can't remember what the blood was. I think it was a lamb, a goat's blood, something like, I can't remember. Forgive me because I don't remember. But anyway, you had to put it on their door, on their front door, and if they did that, the spirit of death would, you know, flee. It wouldn't go into their door, into their home. And Ramesses did not take heed to that, and his son ended up dying. So Ramesses was so upset. He was like, just get your people out of here. I'm tired of y'all. I ain't gonna fight no more. Just take your people and get out of Egypt. Like, you caused enough drama. Just get out of here. And Moses was like, okay, bet. Let's get all my people together. And they don't really say this, like, and if you watch certain movies, like especially the Prince of Egypt, they kind of like cute, like made it a little cutesy. If you watch like I think it's a movie with Christian Bale playing Moses. I don't know why they picked like it. I ain't getting into all that, but anyway, that movie, I think it was called Exodus or whatever, and it had Christian Bale playing as Moses. And it's not easy. Like, some of the Israelites even died. Not everybody was on board with the transition. Not everybody was ready to go. And I guess, you know, that could be Stockholm syndrome. Like, I'm used to being stuck in a specific place. I'm not ready to move forward. I'm not ready for the change. I'm not ready for the promise. So whatever the divine promise is for you, whatever the divine promise is for those that you're meant to shift your, because you as an energy, as a vibrational energy, is a shifter. You're meant to cause transitions. So you have to understand that not everybody is going to be ready for it, and not everybody is going to want to come or get into alignment with the transition, because you're not here to have followers. You're not here to convince people. Your energy itself is going to set the tone for that. So if people are already in alignment, and that's something that they already desire, is to move into wherever God has for them, whatever their divine calling is, or whatever their divine purposes are, or breaking an addiction, or leaving someone that doesn't serve them, whatever it is that you're meant to shift in these people's lives, you're doing it just by being you. You're not forcing anybody. You're not trying to convince. The Spirit of God within you, that light within you, is enough. That's all that it is. But that's why you can't be like, oh, well, they're not getting it, they don't understand, and why don't they get it? And you can't force people to be at the level that you're at, or to see things in the way that you see them. God called everybody to be different. Everybody's season and time is different. So whatever you're going into, yes, it's not always easy, and you're not going to fit in. You might look like you fit into that space, but something about you always sticks out like a sore thumb, and that's not a disadvantage. That's actually an advantage. whatever your environment that you're being placed in is almost like an unlikely place for you to be there. And however spirit is going to use you, I would say to just be open to that. This isn't a time for you to second guess yourself. This is not a time for you to overanalyze situations. This is not a time for you to hold back speaking your truth or being your authentic self or just expressing yourself however your walk is, whatever you're being called to do in this life. It's not a time for you to sit on the sidelines and just play it small. And I feel like a lot of times when people are different, when you're different and you're put in an environment that you kind of feel like you're the only one and you don't really fit in, it feels lonely. But you'll start to figure out and you'll start to find that when you're put into that, spaces, is really meant for you to be the change that people need, because people fit into the status quo because some of them, they want to fit in because they themselves don't know their identity. They don't know who they were called to be. So fitting in is easier. It's easy to follow the crowd. It's not easy to go against the current and what everybody else is doing and what's popular and what looks good and what sounds good. But what's going to start to happen, and I've been getting this a lot, is that the reason why we cannot depend on everybody else's word and what they're saying and, looking for this person and that person to validate you or to seek guidance outside of yourself, you have to seek counsel with your divine creator. You don't want to be like those women, the 10 virgins in the Bible, where some of the virgins had their oil and they had their lanterns, and the others were like, hey, can we use some of your oil? We don't have any more light for our lanterns. We need some of your oil. And the girls were like, no, we can't give it to you. Meaning those that have been in that place with their creator, they have that relationship and they prepared themselves to go where God is taking them. And then when it's time for it to get cracking, some people are not going to be ready, and they're going to look to everybody else and be like, hey, it's not going to work like that. And that's why I'm saying, and this is why God broke my addiction from having to go to the tarot cards about everything, going to my friends and asking them this and that, watching readings and stuff. That's why God broke that from me, because it was taken away from me going to the source first and getting it first. I don't want to be in a place where I'm left behind and I don't know where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to do, and I'm looking to everybody else and they already got themselves in gear. They're not going to be able to help me. They can't babysit me. So that's why I'm telling people, because this has been coming to me. In this period, you have to seek counsel with God, and some people, it's going to be forced upon you in a way where no one's probably going to answer the phone. You might, let's say if you're into buying tarot readings and stuff, you're trying to get answers from somebody outside of you. The reader may not be able to tell you anything. And you might be like, oh, that was a waste of time, but it's meant to push you to God. And that's what happened to me as well. After, there was a point where I didn't even want to touch my cards. I couldn't even touch them. Like, I would touch them, I'd be like, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel the need to touch them. I didn't feel the need to go ask somebody. I might, vent to a friend or something, but I wasn't looking for them to tell me everything like I was so used to doing at the time. So a lot of people are not going to be ready for that transition. A lot of people have come, and this might ruffle some people's feathers, but a lot of people have become very codependent on readers and readings. And that's in itself is not good. And I also said this too, that this was a fair warning to people, that you're going to get to a place where you're going to feel stuck and you're going to be like, okay, what's happening? The thing is, you're getting caught up in a loop. When you're constantly asking a question, you're going outside of yourself to seek it. You're caught up in a cycle where you never get a solution, where you're never getting the clarity, because you're not seeking it from source first. You're not going to get it from outside of you. Readers and things like that, especially those that have been divinely called to be readers, some people just pick up a deck. They have no divine authority to even be touching decks. And I'll say this, any spiritual tool, yeah, it's just paper, but it has symbols on them. There's energy that goes into these cards. Greetings, Fatima. I haven't seen you in a minute. I hope you're doing good. Um, it's a lot of energy that goes into making cards. There's intentions in them. So when you tap into spiritual things, it's like using a Ouija board. When it's just a board, right? But it has spiritual meaning. So when you open a portal up with these, when you're using cards, divination tools, and stuff like that, you're opening spiritual doors, you're opening portals. So if you don't have divine protection over you, or if you're not covered, or you don't pray before you read, or before you tap into something, you allow anything and whatever to come in. And yeah, there'll be these spirits that come in, and they may give some accurate messages, but there's something about it that's deceptive. So some people on here, I'm gonna just be honest, some people don't have any business reading. Um, I feel like God allows people to do certain things, even for a certain time. Like for me, I will say that I was called to do it. I did not want to be a reader. That wasn't in my plans. I didn't want that for myself. I didn't see myself being a reader. I didn't see it becoming a business thing for me or me making money from it. That wasn't my idea. God told me to come on here, make a YouTube channel, and read for people. And I went with it. And that's when people were asking me, do you read? Personal reads, do you take clients, blah blah blah, and that's how it all started. And there was a point where God was saying, okay, you don't need the cards like that. Do I use them every now and then? If I'm led to, yes. If not, I don't use them. I don't need to use them. The gift is not in the cards. The gift is what's already within the self. So there's going to be a point where people are going to be tired of watching these readings because they're not getting anything out of it spiritually anymore. It comes a point where certain things are redundant. You get tired of hearing the same thing. It's not feeding you spiritually. It's feeding the ego. It's a lot of flesh feeding with readings now. And I'm just keeping it real. I'm gonna be honest, this isn't me coming at anybody specifically or any specific readers or anything. This is just as a collective. You go on and it's just about love messages and, oh, this person's feeling this, how do they feel about me? And it's okay to want to know those things, but it gets to a point where it becomes a crutch, it becomes codependent, it becomes obsessive, and it's not feeding your soul. It might feed your ego for a little bit, it might give you a little bit of clarity, but at the end of the day, you have to get down to the root of, okay, why am I constantly asking about this? Where's the solution? There's someone that's missing in the equation. Either the person that you're dealing with, you're not getting the clarity from them for whatever reason. If you're not able to get to the source down to it, how the person feels or what's going on in the connection, you need to go to God first. Whatever you want to call God, the creator, the universe, whatever, you need to go to source first to get that clarity, and guaranteed it will come to you. A lot of people talk about spirituality. Oh, I'm a spiritual, but you don't have any spiritual connection to your source. So how are you spiritual when you don't have a connection with your source that brought you here, that brought you into this physical reality through your mother's womb, that brought you through that portal? How do you not have a relationship with your creator? Because you replaced it with outside things. And I'm not only just speaking to you guys, I was speaking to myself as well. There was a point where I didn't have that fellowship with my creator anymore, and I was seeking outside of myself, and I was um, I was keeping God out of the equation, where I wasn't going to my creator first for the clarity that I needed. And when I tell you, when you ask God for something, God is going to show it to you. It's guaranteed. This is a fact. This is a testimony. I'll say that for myself. Anytime that I ask God for something and ask something to be revealed, or if this is of my highest good, please show me, let me know, blah, blah, blah. There's not one time that God has not came through, gave me clarity about something. A person outside of you is not God. They're just a vessel. We're just a part, a piece of God's. We are part of God's image in creation, but we are not God. So we don't have all of the answers. We don't have all the solutions. Another person is not responsible to give you the peace and clarity that you need. You are not to seek outside of nobody. Even whether you get married or whether you are married, whether you're in a relationship, whether it's your mom, your dad, your most trusted ally, they are not going to ever be that thing that gives you that soul source of peace and clarity that you need. They are not that. They are not your creator. They did not bring you forth. They are a part of that, just like you. They're just a human vessel. So at the end of the day, you can't make people responsible for that. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. And that's for those that I feel like that don't really have spiritual connectedness in them. They're not going to want to hear that. They want to be told what they need to do. And it's okay to seek guidance. Like I said, as messengers, we're here for a reason. That is our purpose. We're here to be messengers and help people, but we're not responsible for your clarity. We're not responsible for your guidance. We can only give you what God allows. And anybody that tells you any different, they're a phony. Like the people that come on, oh, come to me for a reading and I'll be able to tell you your future and all that. That stuff is like phony. And it's not to say that someone cannot prophesize something for you in the future, but you got to be careful with that. Even not everybody that comes forth and says, oh, I have this gift, is a gift that is being used with God's energy in it. So you just got to be discerning of certain things. It's time to take the training wheels off. That's the message. It's time to take that off. Joshua, and that's what I want to get into. I was wondering why God was bringing up Joshua into this whole thing. So when you think of Moses, Moses was the pillar, right? He was the forerunner, or he was the one that was innovative. He came forth, did what he did, and he left a blueprint for Joshua. Joshua was, like I said, kind of like an understudy, and he had to walk in that place of Moses. So it's going to be a point where those that you leaned upon and seeking outside of you, or you're going to be put in that place where you're going to have to pick up and move forth under what you've been taught or what you've been shown, or it's time for you to step into your own leadership position and lead, because you're going to inspire other leaders. I don't know if who's been on my channel for a minute like that, so if you remember this message, but I did this could be for you, I think, a long time ago, and I was talking about Moses, and I was calling you guys little Moses, because you guys are meant to be those transitionals. And I was saying that we're all leaders. We're not here to pick up followers. We're here to spark other leaders to step in. There will be a time, yes, where we will be an understudy to someone, or there'll be a time where someone is going to be like our spiritual mother, our spiritual father, our spiritual sister or brother that helps us along the way. But there's going to be a time where you break off into your own path, and you're going to be the teacher and the spiritual mother for others, and that's going to also spark them to do that. This isn't a place where you keep people dependent upon you. I never want anybody that watches my channel to be dependent on me and to look at me like some type of God, like I got all the answers. I'm a vessel. I can just say this, that when I come on and do these messages and these lives or whatever, these readings, whatever, I always ask God to fill me up, remove myself, and be the voice through me. May I hear only you. May I only see what you want me to see. I take myself out of it completely. So it's not about me having followers and subscribers and everybody loving me, because a lot of 9 times out of 10, like these types of messages, they're not popular. Nobody wants to hear this type of stuff, and they only want to hear what their flesh wants to hear, what makes them feel good at the time. So if you're not saying those things, it's always going to be deemed as negative and so on and so forth. And I have to respect the fact that not everybody's ready for shifts and changes. They're not ready to transition. They're not ready to be bigger. They're not ready to step into leadership. They're complacent. So a lot of people are spiritually complacent. I don't have anything for you. I can't be the messenger for you. I can't. I can only speak to and minister to those that God has called me to, and those that are called to hear the message. I can only do that. So Joshua, he didn't feel like he was qualified to step into Moses' shoes. Like, who am I to lead these people? I can't do it like Moses, and God called him to it. That's another thing. There's going to be times where you're called to do something and you'll question it, and you'll say to yourself, well, I'm not qualified enough. I don't have the skills. I'm not that good of I'm not a good communicator. I don't have a big enough following. Scratch all of that. If you've been called to something, and I was the same way. When God told me to start my channel, I was like, I don't have a fancy camera. my camera is a mess. It's crappy quality. I don't have a cute little setup and all of that. How am I going to do this? And God was like, get on it. Use what you have. Eventually, you'll pick up better things, or it's just, it doesn't matter. Some people are into the aesthetic and they like to see the cute setups and all of that and the fancy intros and all of that. But aside, and people, you know, they're drawn to people that have a whole bunch of viewers and followers. Like, everything is an image nowadays. Whatever field you go into or whatever you're called to, a lot of times people say you have to look the part. You have to have enough amount of influence to be heard or to even be taken seriously. And sad but true, a lot of times we do fall into that. Oh, this person must be valid because look how many followers and subscribers he or she got. Or look how many numbers. Or look at their platform. Look at, oh, they're on TV. Or, oh, they have their own commercial. Or, oh, this person has all of this money. Or they have all of these labels. They must be a person of something. But a lot of times, those that are the peak squeaks, they get overlooked. So if you think about David and Goliath, he was the only one that was like, hey, I'll take out that giant or whatever, this big dude. I'll take him out. And everybody was like looking at him like, you're little, like, what you, like, you can't, like, what? Like, you're not big enough to do that. And one of my other favorite stories is the King Arthur story. The Sword and the Stone is one of my other favorite inspirational stories as well, because it's like this little, tiny little boy was the only one that was divinely assigned to pull that sword out. Nobody else could do it. No big man in the land or whatever, big soldiers, buff dudes, they weren't able to do it. Only he could do it. So you can't look at how small you appear, or I don't have enough of this. And Moses even said himself too, I have a speech impediment. I stutter. I can't speak, especially to Ramesses. What I look like stepping to Ramesses trying to state my claim, and I can't barely even talk. Like, and he's working with these Egyptian gods and all of that, and I'm coming for, and they're just gonna laugh at me. They're gonna look at me like I'm crazy. God was like, scratch all of that. What did I tell you to do? What did I tell you to do? Jeremiah in the Bible, one of my favorite stories that I keep getting drawn to, the book of Jeremiah, where he said, but I'm young. I can't do this. I can't speak. And God said, I knew who you were before I formed you in your mother's womb. So I already know who you are and what you're capable of. And a lot of times we look at ourselves as our own entity. We look at ourselves as a simple entity, but there's a force that works within us, that God, that light within us is what is bringing us through. It's not by our mere strength. It's not going to be off of how many subscribers you have, how many likes and followers you have, how many views you have, whether you graduated, whether you went to college or not, where if you came from a broken home, so therefore you're not good enough, or, oh, I always been the one that was not the popular one, or whatever your case is, because I said this before too, God likes to use the underdog. Because those are the ones that are most willing to receive. They're the ones that are most available to receive God. Because when you don't have all of that access stuff and there's not all this stuff around you, you getting caught up in the glitz and the glamour. You're getting caught up in what everybody thinks of you. Because you got to keep up an appearance. Once you get a certain amount of influence, it's almost like you have to be that person. You have to have an image. You got to be known as this. You don't want to be seen as a human. It's almost like, or even if you want to be seen as a human, let's take it to this level. Let's say a celebrity. Celebrities have an image that they have to obtain. That's why they have publicists to keep certain things out of the media, or they got to make sure that they have media training. They have to be careful of what they say. They have to be careful who they're around, where they go to, certain pictures they don't want out, because it's like people put these individuals on a pedestal and they have an image of who they are, even if that's not really who they are. But I know you to be this. So if you step out of that, you're a fraud, or oh, I can't believe that they did this. Oh, cancel so and so. We don't like them anymore. Or they might have dug up something in their past, in their youth, that they said that was ignorant, or they did something, or they made a mistake, as all humans do, and they get crucified for it. So a lot of times these people have to stay in a box of present themselves a certain way. They're not human. As a vessel for God, your testimony, your quote unquote F ups, your mistakes, your ups and your downs is the thing that shapes and makes you. Your pressure, your concentration periods, those are the things that shape you, because your story is meant to help somebody else. So it's not about an image. It's not about being liked. It's not about having followers. It's not about how much money you got and how much money you making, even though the world will tell you that that's what's important. And yeah, in some people's eyes, yeah, money talks. But at the end of the day, integrity and character is always going to overshadow that. It's going to. The underdog is the one that inspires the people, not the people that just get it, oh, I just get it handed to me and I look good, I have this and I have that. That they're selling something fake, they're selling something false, and a lot of times people don't tell you how they get those things, where they're at, why they're at where they're at. You got to understand, a lot of this stuff is fake. It looks good. One of my favorite, or at the time, I don't really like watch him and listen to him anymore, but one of my favorite readers on Instagram, he said to get popping, he bought all of his followers. He said, I did it for numbers. I knew that if I looked the part, because it's like fake it till you make it. I knew that if I played the part, I looked like something, people would follow me, people would watch me. So he bought followers. He already has a big personality anyway, but he bought his followers. So a lot of the things that you see is not even that. Like, people don't tell you their come up, how they became what they are and all that. Like, so you can't get caught up in that. That's not important. And if people are only looking for that, they're going to miss out on something, because they're looking at the flesh. They're not looking at the heart and the soul of people. A lot of the times, these celebrities and stuff like that, they're not even like people. They're not even good people. They project a lot. But because of the image and because of your flesh is caught up, you're attached to what it looks like, what success is and all of that, you'll miss it. You don't see it. Yeah, Bob Marley was in himself, he was prophetic himself. But yeah, you're not going, I'm just going to just keep it real. You're not going to be, the majority at least, it's not to say that you'll never be appreciated for being authentic and being real. It's not to say that you won't be, but to be honest, you're not going to be praised by the majority of people. If that's what you're looking for, then you're not, this isn't for you. And I had to get to the grips of that, because I was always like, oh, well, I must be doing something wrong, because how come my channel's not growing? And I know, like, the gift that God gave me is crazy. And I'm just like, I should have more followers. I should have more subscribers, more likes, and all of that. As if 22,000 subscribers isn't enough. But it's just like, oh, I should have more. And even like some of my reader friends be like, oh, I don't know why you don't have as much viewers. You should have way more than that. And I had to think about it. My style is not like everybody else. And I say a lot of things sometimes that I be gritting my teeth like, I have to say that. Oh, I don't want to say that. Oh, people are going to be mad. Oh, I don't want to have to say that. And I'll be like, oh, I can't. I have to say it. So I had to understand that early on, that I'm not going to be liked by everybody. I'm not going to be popular in that sense. But I'm good enough to bite off of and copy my readings and stuff like that. But, you know, that's just whatever. That's just a little side thing. But other than that, you're not going to be liked by the majority. You're not going to be liked. People might feel you and might know that you're speaking truth, but they're not going to want to co-sign that And a lot of people too, they don't want to be that person that everybody crucifies if they say something. They have to keep up an image. I have to keep up this light and fluffy facade, love and light message, or I can only write songs about this. Like, you're not going to have that. A mass of people that love you. People love the quick and easy. They love the fluffy. They praise that all day. But the outcasts and the weirdos, and that's why I like going to the poetry lounge. I'm going off track a little bit, but I feel like this resonates with this. There's a poetry spot that I go to, and there's like different types of people there, and I just listen to certain people. And like if I was to walk down the street, I would, not in my spirit, because in my spirit I could see the beauty in a lot of people. I could see them. But like in my flesh, if I was just to like overlook a person, I wouldn't see. I would be just like, oh, he's just like whatever. He looks like he's a weirdo, or he looks like he's to himself, or these are people that are like the quiet types, or these are the people that aren't popular. And when you listen to their words and what they're saying, it's like it's so deep. You feel it in your soul. Because that's why I like going to the poetry spot, because I get messages even listening to the people, what they're rapping about, what they're singing about, what their poetry is about. They'll say something and I'll be like, damn, like you feel it. That's why I love underground artists and underground music, because like these people are not popular and all of that, but they're so gifted and they're so dope, like the things that they talk about. So those types of people are not going to fit in, because they're not talking about the the bees and the hoes. They're not talking about get money all day. Like that's not their message. Or women messages talking about being a bad bee, a bad chick, and I got this, I got money, blah blah blah, I got Birkin bags. That type of stuff is popular. That's what people want to hear. That's what they want to talk about. In the tarot community, the spiritual community, they want to hear about twin flames and they coming back and how much they want to be with you. That's all people want to hear about. They want to hear about prosperity messages. They don't want to hear of anything else that edifies the spirit or the soul. They don't want to hear that. A majority of people don't want to hear that, I'll say. So you'll find that the more you like walk into like you and be you, just be your authentic self, and you don't try to apply yourself to everyone else, you're not going to have a lot of people that want to like kick it with you. You're not going to have a lot of people that are going to invite you to this party and this party. You're not going to have a lot of men or women trying to holler at you, because there's something about your energy that you're not going to appease everybody, and that's a good thing. You don't want to be a part of the mass majority. You don't want to be that. And the underdog is always going to outshine all of that, because even the very people that will hate on you and be like, oh, they're not that, oh, well, what is he or she doing here? They ain't got this. Oh, he ain't got that many amount of followers. Oh, he ain't got this. He ain't been doing this for a long time, or she didn't graduate, whatever hang up people will look at. But they feel you, though. They see you. They see beyond that. They see the spirit in you. And some people are going to be ignorant to it, because all they're looking at is the flesh. So for those of you that resonate with this, get it right now that the mass majority, I'm not saying that nobody's going to love you or nobody's going to like you or nobody's going to see your greatness, but the majority of people are not going to be on board, because the majority of people, sad to say, you know how they talk about the narrow road? Not too many people go down that. The road is narrow for a reason, because it's not going to fit a lot of people. It's not going to fit for everybody. Not everybody is on board. Not a church. I'm not a church. But I am speaking to the choir, though. Mass majority, like sneakers, not shutting down sneakers, because, I love me some nice shoes. Sneakers, cell phones, handbags, weaves, vacations, and all of that. All this stuff that, and we need vacations. I ain't knocking it. But I'm just talking about like the popular things that we spend all of our money and all of our time and energy on. A lot of that stuff makes billions of dollars, because that's where we put up most of our energy. But the things you know, where we should be investing, where I feel like a lot of people are going to shift these things. Yeah, that's the crazy thing about it. Like, like what it takes to make sneakers and stuff like that. It's crazy. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. Um, the things that we really need is like people. I'm not against tarot readings. I'll say this because I feel like people have it misconstrued. And I respect people saying, oh, I don't use tarot cards anymore because it's of the devil or whatever. For some people, you're not supposed to touch stuff like that. If you're not being called to it, you don't have divine covering and protection, you shouldn't be playing with spiritual tools. It is what it is. Not everybody is supposed to. Everybody has a spiritual gift, so anybody can pick up a deck and probably read it. But have you been called to it? Is it something that you're spiritually called to do? Are you in legal ground to be tapping into portals and opening portals? Are you legal ground to be speaking and taking, because you take on people's energy if you don't protect yourself when you do readings. You got a lot of people watching you, a lot of people tied to you, so you got to make sure that you're protected. There's a lot that goes into tapping into things. Some people will say don't touch a Ouija board, and some people will tell you there's nothing wrong with the Ouija board, but there is a fine line. The people that say they don't see it as evil, they say that you shouldn't do it if you are just going in blindly. You don't know what you're doing, you're calling in all types of spirits and stuff. Some people don't have no business doing that. People want to work with Alegua, and they want to work with this Orisha and this spirit and all of that. But if you have not been called to that stuff, you need to be mindful. Everything has a spiritual energy and force in it. When you listen to a music, like you listen to a song, that in itself is opening a portal. What are you listening to? Some Eminem's music like triggered some people to do some crazy stuff. Some rock music, some rap music has triggered anger in people. Some people said, like when I was watching a video a long time ago about music or whatever, and the frequencies in certain songs, this guy was saying that when he would listen to certain rap songs, it would make him want to go out and kill somebody. And it would make him think of murderous thoughts and things like that. You got to be mindful of the frequencies you tap into. So it's no different with tarot cards. So it's not just this light and fluffy, just come on here and just tell people what they want to hear. You got to be mindful. So I'm not against the tarot thing. I'm not against the tarot community. The reason why I stopped using my cards as heavy as I was is because God was saying and showing me that I was making it an idol. I wasn't connecting with my source in the way that I needed to. It was actually a crutch to me because my gift is not in the cards. My gift helps amplify the message in the card. My gift is with or without the cards. So so the readings and stuff like that, I feel like there needs to be more readers that talk about healing. There needs to be more readers that go into how to heal inner child wounds, how to deliver self, how to tap in further to your spiritual self, how to connect with God, how to step into your divine purpose. We need messengers like that. We don't need to hear about this dude or this female and are they going to come back, who's jealous of you, and are you going to be famous, and oh, when am I going to have babies and marry. That's okay, because I learned in the Christian, if you want to call it that, like the Christian community, like the prophetic messages, I had to step back sometime because I'll be like watching them, and a lot of times they always talk about marriage all the time, almost like it's an idol thing. So it also sounds like the whole twin flame thing, like the prophetic community is obsessed with kingdom marriages. And some people, I respect them because when they talk about it, they'll talk about it in a way that is not to glorify self, but to glorify God and to make, generational shifts and changes. It's not about just, laying up with somebody and living happily ever after. So I can agree with that. But there's no difference in the prophetic world and the tarot world. There will be people that just only want to read on one specific thing. They don't talk about life purpose. They don't talk about healing, therapeutic things. So I feel like there needs to be more of that. We need to hear more of that. And I feel like the reason why some people are not as popular as they are, or I'll say specifically for myself, the reason why my messages help people at the end of the day, but some people will click off because it's not going into what they want to hear, or it's not telling them, it's not giving them a crutch to lean on. It's like you got to step forth, you got to tap into yourself, you got to connect with God, source first, before you go outside and look for someone to be that for you. So I pray that in this new energy, like this new spiritual energy that we're going into, once they come into this new era, new energy, I pray that there's new readers and new spiritual people and prophetic messengers that come forth and start speaking on healing and speaking on encouraging people, things that feed our spirit, things that feeds the spiritual self, things that edify us, things that encourage us to be our best selves, that speaks life into each other, speaks life into ourselves, because we do need that. The world is dark in a sense of people are numbing themselves. People have a lot of trauma and pain. We all do. There's trauma, there's suicidal energies and spirits out there. There's people that are numbing themselves with alcohol, drugs, with sex, with financial things or material things. There's a lot of people that need healing, and even furthermore, children that have generational things that they need to cut off, because the children is, and I'm not trying to be corny, and Whitney Houston may have not known what she was talking about when she was singing this song, but children really are the future. The energy of a child is so precious and so closest to God that when they come here, it's like they get bombarded with, when we come into this physical form as babies, we're constantly being told who we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do, what we're not supposed to do, how we're supposed to dress, how we're supposed to look. Don't date this person, don't be that, don't look like this, you need to go here, you need to graduate, this is what you need to be studying. Oh, your dream is not going to make no money, or your dream is not going to get you anywhere, you can't do that, you can't be that, you're too fat, you're too skinny, oh, your father did this, your mother, and the things that we've seen as children, all of that is in this adult body that we have. So children, when they come here, there's kids out here that need healing because they already been programmed. There's also, I don't trust some of those people that you just named, Amy. Like some of this, like I don't trust everybody. And that's another thing too. Like you got to use your discernment. Just because they're talking about something doesn't necessarily mean that it's coming from a sincere place. Like I'm very careful about what I watch and who I listen to, because some things are commercial. Some things are commercial-like, and I can't get with it. But I lost my train of thought. But when children come into this world and they are taking on certain things, that there's generational things that their parents are, carried them with or are speaking over them, and it's just a repetitive cycle that needs to be broken. And a lot of the kids nowadays, if you like look at some of these articles, like children are inventing things, children are becoming business owners at 10 years old. Like it's amazing, it's crazy. Graduating college at 12 and stuff. I'm like, what? It's amazing, it's crazy. So kids, I feel like they're the seeds, and even in the Bible it says that the children are the most precious to God. And anybody that goes against them, you got a problem coming for you. So people that like be out here doing things to kids and stuff like that, have mercy on you for real. And that's another thing too. Like I'm noticing a lot of pedophilia type imagery and stuff becoming more like normalized. And that is for a reason. They're trying to kill the seeds any way that they can. They're trying to like brainwash them through their TV shows, to their video games, and a lot of kids are addicted to their phones. Never have I seen a child. There's some kids that still play outside and stuff, but you hardly see that. I hardly see kids playing with their toys, their Barbies anymore. Because when we play with our Barbies and our toy soldiers or whatever, we're using our imaginations. We're tapping into different things. I feel like the little girls that loved Barbie, they might be into fashion, like they like the clothes and things like that. And I take that too with a grain of salt, because Barbie also could be a materialistic type of, like, it instills materialism and false feminine like identities and stuff like that. But when we're in our childlike state, when we have that playful energy where we connect with other kids, when we um yeah when we connect with other children and stuff like that, we're connecting, we're creating. It's a communion that happens with kids. And yeah, you know, as kids, I'll speak for myself, we did some stuff we didn't have no business doing. There's always going to be that. But never have I ever seen kids not play outside. They don't play outside no more. They don't ride their bikes no more. They don't create little storylines and stuff anymore. All they do is sit on their damn phones all day. Tablets, like toddlers knowing how to open an iPad and know how to turn on Netflix. And it's like I've never seen that in my lifetime. Like, even when we were like play video games and we would watch movies in the house, like it was a time for that. But we also had playtime, and we didn't have to be forced to do it. We just be like, oh, I want to go outside, I want to go play with my friends or do something. Like, they don't do that anymore, and it's just so weird. They're so bombarded by things. So I feel even with that, like, God also placed something in me to help children in some type of way. So that's something, you know, that will come along the line, I'm sure. But even them, I feel they need healing too. They need to be heard, because there's kids that, and even deeper, some kids have post-traumatic stress, or I always say this wrong, PTSD. Um, PTSD. Some kids have that because there's things that they're seeing in their environment. We're in an era where we have young moms and young dads. It's a lot of toxicity in the home. There's a lot of crime and violence, and there's just so many different things. So I really feel that we need more healers in like spiritual community, and it's not something that's new really. Just for this era that we're in, I feel like people that are more so into hoodoo and like African spirituality, like healing and stuff, is already something that is done. But I feel like in, I guess what you would call a new age community or something like that, I feel it's very cookie cutter. It's very fairy tale based off of spirituality. It's almost like it's just a costume to say that you're spiritual, talk about chakras and stuff and crystals. Like, it's very corny. It's no real depth to it. They don't talk about shadow work like that. That's very dangerous. Not to talk about the shadow of things, not to talk about wounds, not to talk about spirits and things that people need to be delivered of and freed of. People don't even want to get into all that. They'll write it off as, oh, that's just Christian stuff, or oh, that's just, you know, oh, I don't talk about that. That's so negative. But like, there's people, like, I will be the first to tell you, if nobody else talks about it, it's not a, you know, because I feel like this is the reason why this is why I said what I said. And I knew this. I don't even know if I'm like supposed to say this, if God even wants me to say it. But I feel like God kind of placed me in this, kind of put me in a position to be a reader so that I can reach people in this community, other likewise. Like, people that wouldn't necessarily take to these types of things, God kind of planted me in this community for a reason. That's why I say, like, sometimes you don't fit in for a reason. Like, you'll look like you are everybody else. Like, on the surface, I'm just another reader to some people. But in truth, I'm not. Like, I wouldn't even call myself a reader. I don't want to put myself in the box. I'm a messenger. That's what I've been called to. Even as a little kid, somebody told me that when I got older that I would be a prophet. That's who I was called to be. I didn't understand that. I don't even want to put a label even in that. I don't even want to say that. But God will use people in like unlikely situations and circumstances. What's the saying? My sister says it all the time. God will use the foolish things to confound the wise. So I really feel like, when it comes to certain things, people are not aware of it. They shun away from it because they don't understand it. And spirits and things like that, and demons and stuff like that, people need to be delivered and freed from those. I've had to be delivered of demonic things. I'll have things that try to come over me, and you'll get attacked even more. You'll get attacked even more when you have a certain calling. You'll have spirits that attack you. You'll have certain things that are assigned to you because they know your weaknesses, they know your fears, they know your insecurities, so they'll feed off of that. So deliverance and stuff like that, and calling out spirits and things like that, it's not it's not a new practice. It's not something that is irrelevant. It's still relevant. People need to free themselves of things. Nobody is exempt from healing. No one's exempt from being attacked. No one is exempt from experiencing demonic possession or demonic being feeded off of by demonic forces. And people don't want to talk about that because it doesn't feed into their little Disneyland fantasy. But they're real. I've seen it. I've seen demons manifest before. I've helped cast out demons out of people before. This isn't something that is not real. It's not fake. It's not just something you watch on the movies. It's not something, oh, just to write off as something, oh, that's not light and fluffy. That's not love and light. We don't talk about those things. Ignorance is bliss to some people, but you'll be surprised. So we need stuff like that. We need healers that are going to heal the people in deep depths of things, like pull people out of stuff. Like, I'm talking to people that are like transitionalists. You're called to shift the frequency. When you step into a room, you probably have all eyes on you, and you probably be like, why are these people looking at me? Why are these people staring at me? Why did everybody stop talking when I walked in the room? There's an energy in you. There's an energy in you, that light within you. You yourself, you come into a dark space. You're the light bulb. You turn on the light, and everybody is like, "What the fuck? Who just turned the lights on?" That's the best way I can describe it. Who turned the lights off? Have y'all ever had, like, I'll use this as an example. This is a perfect example. Who's ever was like sleep, you're laying in the dark, or maybe you have the TV on, but it's dark in your room and you're asleep. Somebody comes on and turns on the light, and you're like, turn that fucking light. I'm asleep. Why you turn on the light? I want to go back to sleep. Did you hear what I just said? When you're sleeping and you're in a dark space, somebody comes in the room and turns the light on, what's the first thing you're going to look up? Like, why'd you just wake me up out of my sleep? So that's your energy. You come in like a light. People are sleeping. They're in a dark space. They're asleep. You come in, you turn the light on, and everybody's like, what? Why? I want to go back to sleep. I want to go back to sleep. So why are people going to be mad at you? That's why. You turn the lights on. They want to sleep. And sometimes we are not supposed to sleep. You ever had your mom come and be like, you better get up and get out the bed and go in there and go clean that kitchen. You better go in here and do your chores. You better get up for school, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, you may want to go back to sleep. But if something with authority comes in and tells you to get up, what you going to do? You going to get up, right? So think of your energy, not you yourself, but that God energy invested in you coming in telling people it's time to get up. You got work to do. You need to do your chores. You need to go to school. Whatever it is, you need to get up. You need to get up. And you're not saying it with your mouth. Your energy speaks volumes. Your vibration speaks volumes. It has nothing to do with what, like, this is what I'm saying. You're not here to convince anybody. You're not here to tell people what they should do and who they should be. You're here to spark that. You alone, yourself. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't speak, because a lot of people, as children, you were told that you were stupid. You were told that you don't have a voice, that no one wants to listen to you. Oh, why are you talking? You don't know how to read. Some people are embarrassed to read. Some people are embarrassed. They don't like to hear the sound of their own voice. I dealt with that demon. That is a demon. That's something that attacked me at a young age, where I hated the sound of my own voice. I hated to hear my voice recorded. Like, there was a time where if I had to like edit a video or something, or I wanted to screen record one of my videos and post, I'd be like, oh, I can't stand my voice. I would hate it. Or when I used to work in the call center, and my manager would make me listen to my calls so that we can go over them and coach me and stuff, I would hate hearing my own voice. I hated it. And everybody be like, oh, you know, your voice is so healing, and, you know, dudes, and, you know, I'm not going to get into all that. But I would hate the sound of my own voice. I wouldn't want to hear it. So some people have been attacked in their throat chakra where they don't even want to speak, or they don't feel like they have the right to speak, or they don't feel like their voice matters. And I pray that you cut that off right now. I speak over your throat chakra, and I declare that you free yourself of whatever that chokehold is. And I'm glad that I got this book, because I don't just want to call everything, oh, that's just a demon. I'm not saying that just to be like preachy or nothing like that. I have this book that speaks about the different how to deliver self from certain demons, or how to help deliver people from demons and where they dwell in certain parts of the throat is one of them. The throat is one of the places. So if you've been attacked in that area, I pray over it. I pray that anything that's sitting in the throat, any word curses that were spoken over you as a child, as an adult, any word curses that you spoke over yourself, that you told yourself that your voice doesn't matter, that you're stupid, to shut up, don't say anything, that you can't say, and some of you are meant to sing, and some of you don't want to sing out of fear. And that was another thing too that I deal with. I would feel ashamed to sing. I would feel like people would tell me to shut up. And I've had people being used by dark forces to tell me to shut up, and like they would like make little jokes, and they would use the people that I love the most. Like I had two people I love the most that would like, everybody else would be like, oh, your voice, I love your voice and stuff like that. So some of you guys have beautiful voices and you're meant to sing. Some of you guys are meant to be public speakers. Some of you guys are meant to be writers, and someone told you, I don't know who this is for, but somebody told you that you are stupid, or you need to be quiet, or there's some voice in your head that tells you to shut up, or don't say that, or oh, nobody's gonna listen to you, or that's dumb, why are you even like, get that out of the way. I denounce that. I pray that you denounce that you remove that spirit off of your throat, that whatever that spirit is. And if it's something coming up, like if you feel like you need to spit or something, maybe even throw up, let that out. It's coming out of you. Let that out. Your throat needs to be cleared. Like, people need to hear what you have to say, whether it's through your words, whether it's through writing, whether it's through singing. You need to speak. So, yeah, I don't know who that was for. That came out of nowhere. But you yourself, maybe even your voice. Have you ever heard a person's voice that made you feel something? Like, let's say, for instance, like a person will say something and you feel chills. Or when you hear a person's voice, or you hear someone singing, you know how when people sing, you feel the spirit of what they're saying. You can feel it in your body. You know how you get chills? It's like that. Some people's speaking voices are like that. It was, well, I was watching something. I was watching a show the other day, and this guy, like, he was talking, and he gave me chills. And he wasn't saying anything profound or nothing. He was just talking. There's people's voices that have power in them. They don't have to be yelling. They don't have to talk stern, but it's something about their voice that's powerful or very soothing. Even a soothing voice is powerful. Like, you know, when you listen to ASMR and certain people's voices, they'll talk and it sends chills in your body. It's some type of healing energy in it. So voices have frequency. So that's why I'm saying, like, your transitional, your vibration and who you are, yeah, your walk when you come into a room, when you speak, when you say something, you turn the lights on. Even that, somebody could come in the room and be like, get your ass up. What are you going to do? You're going to get up. You're going to pop right up, right? Because that voices have frequency. People need to hear it. um, you just feel it through your body. You feel the spirit move through you. And I feel that those of you that your voice has been attacked, it's for a reason. You're not being attacked because it's valid that, yeah, you're stupid. That's not valid. That's an attack. If someone has told you to stop dancing, they could be putting a wall over your move, because even dancing is a form of language. I've seen some beautiful dancing, like people that the spirit moves through them. And when you watch someone dancing, it moves you. Some people, like when they go to ballet and stuff like that, they watch these, these dancers. Some people tear up because it's a language that's being spoken. The energy, their body language, their moving energy. So I feel like for those of you that have been attacked in that way, I pray that that spirit breaks off of you. Whatever that spirit, that lame spirit, it's called a lame spirit, where it attacks you in your legs, where it keeps you paralyzed, where it keeps you stuck. I had that. And I'm not telling you guys anything that I have not experienced or I have not seen. I'll explain it to you because I feel like this is going to help somebody. I don't just be talking to like boost myself, because I really don't like sharing my personal business. But I had an encounter. I was sitting, I was going through something. I can't really remember what was going on, but I know I was not in a good space. And I was praying and I was spending time with God, and I was guided to turn on a song. And when I was sitting there, I felt some energy move up my legs, like my feet up to my calves, like in that area. It was like the chills, like this energy coming up. And then I heard God say, stand up. And I stood up. God said, close your eyes. I closed my eyes. And I was walking with my eyes closed, completely just trusting. I didn't know if I was going to bump into something in my room, if I was going to like hit myself, if I was going to bump into my kitty at door. I don't know what was going to happen. But I closed my eyes and I was just walking. And I was walking towards, it was like I'm walking towards God. I couldn't see anything. My eyes were closed. And of course I'm a little scared because I'm like, I don't want to bump into anything, but it was a test of faith. And after that, I just started breaking down crying. I felt the energy. I just started crying out of nowhere. And I feel like those types of experiences happen so that you can trust, so that you can believe. Because I didn't bump into anything. I didn't bump into nothing. I didn't hit my foot. I didn't nothing. So you just have to trust. And that spirit that tries to paralyze your walk and your faith and your trust and your walking in divine authority, that has to go. Whoever spoke over you and told you that you can't do something, if it's dancing, if it's running, if it's sports. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know where God's going with this either. Like, I'm just going with it. But it's being spoken over in that lame spirit over you, where you feel stuck and you feel paralyzed and you don't know where to go. You don't know what your path is. You don't know what steps to take. You're afraid to take steps. You're afraid to take leaps of faith. You're afraid to move on. You're stuck and stagnant. It's like your spiritual legs and feet are not moving. That's a spirit. And I pray that breaks off of you right now. But there's a lot of ways that you can transition and shift energies and frequencies around you and in your environments. Sometimes you don't have to say anything. Sometimes just you being in amongst an environment is all that you're needed to do. Could be something you say. Could be a smile. Could be your eyes. It could be your dance. It could be your writing. Yeah, that's strongholds. Super mega. It's a stronghold. Something in the past. And I pray you let go. Whatever that is, I pray that God reveals that to you, what that is in the past. It's like a stronghold. I feel like it wants to be lifted off of you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have mentioned it. But yeah, sometimes like you have to be the vibrational shift. Just being in an environment. There was a time I used to hang out with people that got into trouble all the time. Like every time I would go somewhere with them, it would be something that would happen. But there was a lot of times that we were spared from bad things happening. I remember I would always feel like I would like ruin like the fun, like something would always be wrong. So let's say like we would go somewhere, like, oh, we're gonna go to this party and blah blah blah. Before we get there, the party was shut down, or the club would be closed, or, like something weird would always happen to where it was like something would be blocked, or oh, we're gonna go hang out with these dudes tonight or whatever, and then we'll be on our way over there, and something happens that like the plans, like something always happens, and I always feel like maybe I'm bad luck because I'm always messing up somebody's vibe, like they're fun, but it was really protecting, like I was not even me, like whatever, just I guess whatever the energy that was with me protected not just me but the people I was around. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes like again, like if that's you, I feel like you resonate with that. I didn't understand this at the time. I would always feel like it must be something wrong with me. I'm always ruining something, but no, it's protection. You're not. Sometimes we're not supposed to be doing the things that we do. And this was in my ignorance. This was when I was like young, in my early 20s, and I was just like just out here just doing stuff I had no business doing. But there was a lot of times where I was spared. And I'm grateful for that. I didn't understand that at the time. I thought it was something that, like, I'm just this bad luck charm. Like, I'm just messing up everybody's fun. But it was protection. It was protection. So sometimes it's going to happen. Like, and even with that comes divine. You have to be very discerning, because there was a time where God put a stop to me being around that friend that I used to hang out with. Like, it comes down to a point where I spared you enough, but I'm warning you, like, if you keep it going, and we get warnings, and I'm grateful that I took heed, because there was some incidents where things ended up going a way that was bad. But thank God that nothing super bad happened to me. That I didn't end up raped, or I didn't end up dead. Like, there's times where things could have happened to me like that, and I'm grateful that it didn't happen. I only came up with scars and bruises. But you have to also know the time and the place. Don't go anywhere where you have not been sent to go. So I'm saying that again, that comes with divine permission. When I was saying about cards and stuff, same thing with environments. You'll be put in a dark space, but that's because you've been led to do that. You don't just go places just because, or because I just want to go, or someone told you to come, or you want to help somebody, so you're going to insert yourself in against your divine purpose or will. You have to be divinely called to do certain things. And that's what this comes to. When you have a relationship with your creator, you have to, you at this point, and this is gonna like probably not sit well with people, those that talk about, oh, you create your own reality. Yes, we do. We have the power to manifest and create things, good or bad, things that are either in our divine will, or things that are against, divine will, that's of our highest good, because we have free will at the end of the day, but we also have divine will. So when you connect yourself with source, you connect yourself with that divine power within you, and you connect with source that is through you. So think of like a portal, a light that is coming out of the top of your crown into the soles of your feet. So it's that divine power that's in you. You're connected to something, you're plugged into something, right? That energy, that spirit within you has a divine order, has a divine plan, it has a divine purpose. So anything that you manifest under your divine will, that is, it's in alignment with you, right? So when you're walking in your divine path, you have to take divine instructions for what is of your divine purpose, your divine calling. You don't necessarily get to choose, oh, I don't want to do that, because if you assign and you align yourself with source, and you already are one with God or source, whatever you want to call it, your whole walk is already plugged into that divine source, so that you can't step out of that unless you unplug yourself from it. And you say that, because that happens sometimes, where we lose our connection to source, where we stop connecting with God, where we stop hearing God, and we just start going our own way. And when I'm talking about God, I'm not talking about a religious God. I'm talking about a source of all things, an infinite source, not a God to be put in a box. That's not what I'm talking about. So that source energy within you, when you're plugged into source, your whole walk, everything that you do, is in alignment with your divine calling and purpose. So you can't step out of that alignment that you're in, unless you unplug yourself, unless you remove yourself out of that. So when you say to yourself, I want to walk in my divine purpose, certain things you got to be more discerning of: who you hang out with, who you have sex with, who you talk to, what you eat, what you watch, what you listen to, because there's a certain time where you're not going to be wanting to watch certain things. Like, I had to turn, I was watching Chucky the other day, and I never really liked movies that's got too much gore in it, like too much blood and stuff, and I had to turn that off. It was like, why am I even watching this? Like, what's the point? Certain things, you don't resonate with it anymore. Certain people you won't resonate with. Certain food, you can't even eat it anymore. It just doesn't sit well with you. It doesn't feel like, it won't even sit in your stomach anymore. There was like a point where I couldn't even drink alcohol anymore because it was making my stomach hurt. It was making me sick. And I love margaritas. I'm a margarita person. And after a while, like, it was like gross drinking margaritas. Like, and there's also times where I can't even get drunk anymore. Like, I might get like a little buzz, but it goes away so quick. Like, I don't feel anything anymore. So certain things you don't need. And I would drink to numb myself. That was one of my escapisms, was to drink. I didn't drink myself to like crazy, but I would always have to have a sip until I felt numb, until I felt relaxed. I would have to drink wine or something to make me feel relaxed. That was also something I did to feel comfortable in a social setting, because I had social anxiety. So I'm like, oh, let me have a drink so I could feel comfortable around people. Even that, there's times where that doesn't even work anymore. Some people, theirs is weed. Weed is a spiritual thing, but if you abuse it, it's, again, anything that you abuse and you use to numb you, or you use to escape from reality, or you use to cope, it becomes an addiction. So can you be addicted to weed? Mentally and spiritually, yes, you can become addicted. I don't know about physically addicted. People say that you can't, but from personal experience and stuff like that, the reason why I stopped is because spiritually, it's just what, we're not gonna get into all of that. And people that I know have stopped smoking for different reasons as well. So it's all about your usage. That's with anything. Again, like I said, with tarot cards, with music, with TV, it really is about, what's the purpose? Why am I doing it? Why am I watching this? Why am I listening to this? Should I be talking to this person? Should I date this person? Should I be sleeping with them? It's like, when it's kind of like, yeah, when you tap out of the matrix, when you plug into the source and you plug out of the matrix, your whole perception shifts and changes. Certain things, it's almost like, yeah, it kind of takes away the ignorance is bliss, because now every time that you look at something, you say to yourself, okay, I see it for what it is. I shouldn't be watching that. Even down to social media. You'll watch social media, and or you'll get on social media and it can become something that either edifies you depending on what you look at or who you follow, or it could be something that drains you. It could be something that takes you in a dark place, or it could be something that you feed into the drama of things, the silly things, and it can become an addiction. I was watching something and they were talking about that there's actually like, it's when you like tap into social media, it's like something in the colors or something, it taps into some type of hormone in your body or something, like it releases some type of ecstasy like feeling. And you have to pay attention to colors too. So like, let's use Instagram for an example. Likes and stuff like that, like they'll choose certain colors like reds, which is the lower chakras, stuff like that. It's usually, the alerts are always red, right? Red represents passion, represents the lower chakras. So it's tapping into that. Then you think of Facebook, it's the communication, that's the throat chakra, and that's where a lot of people like to vent, right? On on what? Facebook or even Twitter. Twitter is blue, that's the throat chakra. A lot of people, what do they call it? Twitter fingers, where you go on there and you just start talking crazy, or you just like vent, or you, it's like a diary. Tumblr is blue. I don't know if people still use Tumblr, but that was like a diary for some people. Like people would use that space to like post things, whether it's visually, your visual diary, or whether you were verbally expressing yourself. So even with social media, those could be good places and spaces, but it can also be spaces that are not of our highest good. So again, it's like all about using your discernment. When you tap into your spiritual self and your spiritual path, you have a divine authority and responsibility now in the things that you do, in the things that you say, the things that you watch, the things that you listen to, the people you surround yourself with. You have a divine authority over things. So we were given divine dominion and rulership over this earth space, over this 3D reality. So we have to act accordingly. Kings don't act like peasants. When they're given a kingdom, they have to handle that with great respect. They also have to fall into the alignment of their ancestors that came before them. So if I'm a part of a divine infinite power and I have divine dominion and authority over this kingdom, that means I need to act accordingly, just like Source. How I'm handling things here should be the same thing. Demonic spirits and lower vibrational frequencies are here illegally. They're not supposed to even be here. So they don't have power like that. Yeah, they run amok and things like that. But they don't have divine rulership and authority. They weren't given that divine authority over anything. Do they have permission to be here? Only what we allow, but they're here illegally though. So you got to look at it from a different perspective of things. So when we get into lower vibrational energies, those are not our original states of being. They're not our original states. Should you feel bad and be like, oh, I'm a bad person now because I had this negative thought, or because I'm having a bad day, don't dwell in that energy. And sometimes it gets hard to pull yourself up out of that, but you have to remind yourself again, if I'm connected to Source, if I am infinite Source being, I am a manifestation of that in this physical reality, I have the power to also pull myself out of this space and time, this space and energy that I'm in. I have the authority to denounce anything or to cast out something. You do have that. Like I said, when it comes to being in your divine authority, it does require responsibility. Divine authority doesn't mean taking advantage. We already have earthly rulers that do that. We have people that are the rulers of this earth, or so they think, because we've allowed it. These rulers of this earth, their divine authority is lawlessness, it's ruthlessness. It doesn't come from a place of love. It doesn't come from a place of integrity. It's greed, it's money, it's evil, it's demonic. Those types of things. That's not real rulership. So when you think of divine authority, it doesn't mean you get to just, oh, I'm going to put a curse on this girl. I'm going to put a spell on her because she said something I didn't like. And I see that a lot in the spiritual community, and I don't like that either. Oh, I'm going to curse her whole life because she said something I don't like. Oh, I'm going to make a mojo bag. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I don't like that. I feel like our ancestors, when they was all into that, it might have been against the oppressors, like we were using stuff like that against our oppressors. And even that, like, I get why we did it, but at the same time, it's like certain things, we shouldn't keep it coming. We shouldn't still be doing that. And it's become so filthy that anytime someone says something or does something we don't like, we'll go, oh, I'm gonna get my spirits on you and stuff like that. Like, where's the spiritual integrity in that? Like, you just a ghetto spiritualist. Like, you don't have no law. Like, you just crazy out here. And some people don't believe in karma, or they don't believe in injustice and things like that. But I'll say one thing. Spells and curses and stuff like that don't hold no power over you. If you're anointed, if you are a sacred vessel, that stuff can't touch you. I don't care what nobody says. If your energy is in a space, if it's in a lower vibrational space enough, you can be attacked in that. If you don't have divine covering, yes, that stuff can affect you, but if you're under the will, that stuff will bounce right off of you. It's almost like a mosquito. The mosquito can sting you and scratch you, but it can't do too much damage. And some, like, if you got repellent on you, you're not going to be attacked like that. If you have that bug repellent, you can't be attacked by the mosquitoes like that. So if you have that covering over you, what can they do? Those spirits are here illegally. And like ancestors and stuff like that, yeah, they're powerful and all of that, but some of them are powerful, but at the end of the day, they're not God. So like sicking somebody's ancestors on a person, like, yeah, they're going to do what they got to do, but at the end of the day, if you are covered by a legion of angels, that stuff is like nothing. And there's different levels of dominion. There's different levels in the heavens. So certain angels and certain spiritual beings of the heavens, they have different assignments and different powers and different rankings. So if you have these different spiritual beings around you and surround you, this little stuff that people send into you, these little witchy poo hocus pocus shit, yeah, it works, excuse my language, yeah, it has some power to it, but it's no match to divine power. Like, it's not a match. So anyway, I don't know who needed to hear that. I don't know where that came from, but anyway, yeah. Long story short, just be in your divine position, because you're meant to shift things, and in order to even know where you're headed and where you're going, you have to be plugged into your source being. You have to be connected to source. And in order to do that, you have to have your own relationship with source to understand what you and source, what your relationship is, what what's the deal, what's my purpose, what's my assignment, what am I supposed to be doing in this period of my life. I have some questions. Have that relationship. Anything that you need to know, your source is going to give it to you. And not everybody's going to hear source, God, in an audible voice. Sometimes you will. Some people may not. Some people may get, God may speak to you through dreams. If it's something that's become an addiction, Jeannie, like it's become something that you're obsessed with, you need to take a break from it. Anything that's got your undivided attention like that, like you're constantly watching, like, first off, what are you seeking? And this is what I'm getting at. Whatever we seek, it's already something that we can tap in with self into source and ask God those questions. Whether, like I said, whether it comes as a clear thought and it brings you peace, or whether you hear it in an audible voice and it brings you peace. Sometimes what we hear is not always going to be what we want to hear, but if it brings you peace and it brings you clarity, that's how you know it's from God. If it comes from a place of negative things like, well, because you're stupid, you shouldn't be doing that. Oh, because if you just would have, that's not God. God don't talk like that. And I had to, it's a given, like, why would my creator talk to me like that? But if you've been used to being talked down to, especially people that are supposed to care for you and love you, you kind of start to believe that, those voices are valid, more than hearing the voice that's clear, that sound. And sometimes those voices are so loud you can't even hear God. Thank you. Thank you, sis, from St. Lou. Yeah, why would we talk to ourselves like that? Right. Like a person that has healthy self-love, um, what kind of tarot readings are you watching that's making you scared? Um, yeah, self-love, healthy, like a healthy self would not talk to themselves like that, and it doesn't feel good. Like, you know, it doesn't feel good because there's times where I'll say things to myself that are bad, and it feels like, why would I say, like, if don't feel right to your spirit? That's how you know. So like I said, God's not always going to speak to everyone clear. Like, not to say that God won't, but some people, God may speak to them stronger in maybe their dreams. God may speak to them in visions. God may speak to them through numbers or um, something. You know, you can just know. You just know. Um, it's a certain thing. Like, you can even be specific with God and be like, can you please give me clear message or sign that I know this is you? Yeah, I would say you got to be careful with like spirit guides and angels, like stuff like that. If it's not you going to source and you asking God to give you those things, and you're watching readings that, oh, your spirit guides want to tell you, you got to be careful with that, because not all the time. And I tell people this even with like, because ancestor work is not different, you know, that's not nothing new. That's our tradition, especially like in African culture. That's not new to us, but you have to be careful with what ancestors you call on and what you're working with. And if you're watching a reading from outside, like someone else saying, "Oh, this is what your spirit guides want to tell you," that doesn't sound right to me. It's not to say that people can't really channel that, but you have to be discerning. That's why I say, like, people don't just be watching stuff. You can't just be watching stuff. Yeah, and there's nothing that you need to fear. Like, you shouldn't be fearing. That's another thing too. Like demons and stuff like that. Like, you can't be scared dealing with them. They're nothing. Like, if you watch movies and stuff like that and you see like these scary creatures and things like that, like, yeah, it'll program your mind to be in fear. But when you're really like, that's why I be saying, y'all, you cannot. I don't know if you're I don't know if you're trolling or you really need help, but if you really need help, or anybody that you're watching, um, these trickster spirits, like, they know how to get people. Like I said, you'll watch accurate things. I don't call myself a Christian. I don't like labels. I do not like labels. I don't like putting myself in a box. I'm not a religious person. Of the spirit, yes, but not. That's, yeah. You have to be careful what you watch. Like, just because it has a cute title, or the picture, the thumbnail seems cute, the person seems valid and stuff like that. You have to be discerning, because you don't know what their spiritual relationship is with things, or they could be ignorant to these things. They could just, oh, they know about spirit guides, they know about angels, but they don't have any divine understanding of those things. You got to be careful what you watch. That's why I tell people, when you watch a tarot reading, if you're divinely led to, you'll know. Don't just be popping on something that you haven't been called to watch. If it adds confusion and more confusion, no matter how good it sounds, that's not coming from God. Like, that's not something you should be tapped into. You can't just tap into something because, and that's a part of spiritual discernment. It's no black and white. There could be something that you watch that sounds good to you, but it may not be something that you need to be watching. Not everything that is not for us is always going to come in this scary package. It's not always going to look freakish or demonic. Sometimes it'll come in as a form of light. It'll come in a form of something cute and fluffy. You gotta be discerning. So whatever that spirit of fear on you, because that's what it is, a spirit of fear, like it has you freaked out, that's not God. And the whole Jesus, like the image of Jesus and stuff like that, even that stuff too, we've been brainwashed with that. I don't get and it even says it in the Bible, like not to idolize, not to worship images. Not to worship images. So images that they've told us what angels look like and what Jesus looks like and stuff like that. We also got to be careful with that. Like this stuff gets deep. Like you got to be mindful of these things. Worshiping an image of man or worshiping an image of because we don't know these things. Like they'll describe certain things in the Bible, but we don't know exactly what it looks like. So when we have an image in our mind, it's because we've been brainwashed to think, okay, that's what angels look like, or that's what Jesus looks like. So we program ourselves into that. You have to be careful. It's not of the flesh, it's of spirit. Relationship with God, our connection with the angels in the spirit realm is spiritual. It has nothing to do with the physical. Like it says. Like it says in the Bible, it talks about the spirit of things. By their fruits you will know them. So by the fruits of a character or by something you will know. And if it's something that comes to you light and fluffy, you got to look at the spirit of it. Tarot readings in itself, like I'll say this again, God never personally told me that tarot readings are evil. It's certain things, like it's responsibility and it comes with divine permission. Yeah, I feel like too, the thing with the Bible, and they say this too, there's so many different versions of the Bible, and as we know, or some of us know, they've taken a lot of chapters out of the Bible. They've taken a lot of things out of context, but that's why you have to be in your spirit. You have to be in the spirit. You have to use your discernment. You have to be in a place where you're not easily misled by things. You can't be misled. So, any spirits of seduction, any spirits here that's looking for a voice to speak through, I denounce you right now. Yeah, this just like took a weird turn, and I'm going to have to pray over this, and then I'm getting off. If you guys are freaked out by me speaking in my in tongues, you guys can click off. But I feel like I need to do this because I don't like where this energy is going. Certain spirits like to have a voice. They like attention and stuff like that, and I don't like where this is going. So I'm about to pray over this. Yoshoto koyamara ya koyoshotanai. I mahoyo koromara I no hoyashat. I shakai imanyanata. Yamana hoyokuna manaya. Asia takai amana haya atotoku yimenashiati. Hiatakaya yamano huguna mashiata. Hananama karana natayo shotanamana kaya shataya mayina akaya. Yanamohoro nama shiataka yosho tokuromara yashi yanamat tokuyoma atana ya tanakaya amanar krayo horo shoto yamanara hakoyo totuyamara shanyamyan niramana yo hokoyo totokuyama yamna shiatayishia kataya yamanara koroto ushamana aya tai ototokuta nama ya Yarata, Yohokoshuto Kuyamana, Ta Ishianana, Yoro Koroto to Ushiyama, Minashia Takaya, Shianana It Aya, Mehanaya Koyoshuto Kuyaramana, Tata Ahiaka, Ya ya namata. Yosho toku yamana isha. Yamana haya toro tu ushya. Okay. Yeah, I needed to do that. I don't know what was I don't know what's going on in here. I'm about to get off of here though. But anything that you want to know, you need to go to God. You need to go to source and ask and seek help and guidance. That's the first thing. And if there's anything in me, working on me, within me, any fear, God, I ask that you cast it out of me right now. I ask that you remove it. I give it to you. I put it in your hands. I put it in your hands, not of my own. I come to you even in my lack of understanding and my ignorance. I don't know. Show me. Show me what you want me to do. Show me what it is that I need to do. I don't know what I'm doing. I give it to you. Ask for divine discernment. Ask for divine understanding. Just a simple going with an earnest heart and asking for divine assistance and help. Jeannie, I don't know how to say your name, but yeah, seek God. And I would say lay off watching readings right now. Like if you feel conflicted and you feel confused, lay off of them. Do not watch that stuff right now. Like, yeah. No, I'm not upset. Um, yeah, you need to plug off of stuff. Like when like you get confused and like even sometimes like I'll say this too. Sometimes I'll watch like prophetic words, or I'll watch like some type of sermon, and some things will like make me feel weird, and it start making me feel like guilty and stuff. I'll have to take myself off of it. Like I need to get off and I need to go within. Because sometimes, like, again, not everything is for you to watch. Not everything is for you. And if you're in a certain mind state, it's easy for things to come in and deceive you, or to feed off of fear, or to feed off of your confusion, or to feed off of your sadness. So I'll say this as an example. I'll say this as an example. When you watch a tarot reading asking about love, let's say you're so distraught over a person, let's say you're sad about it, you haven't heard from them, or you don't know if they care about you, and then you start spiraling, you start having these thoughts about, oh, what if I'm just delusional? What if I don't, what if I'm crazy, or what if I'll never find love, or what if this person just thinks I'm a loser? You start having all these crazy thoughts, and then you go sit down and you watch a reading. You just click on something. You don't even discern if this is something I need to be watching. Say you're attracted to the title. What does this person feel about you right now? Oh, they got 12,000 views. Let me watch this. This must be good. Click, watch it. You start listening to it, and then you pick this one. Let's say you pick a card. You go to the pick of cards, and then the reader starts telling you, yeah, this person, they just don't feel like you're the right one for them. They're actually going to move on with somebody else. And then that spirit kicks in because you tapped into something where you were already distraught. You were already distraught. You were already conflicted, and you didn't use your discernment, and you tapped onto something that was not for you, and it fed that spirit of distraught, that spirit of despair, that sadness. That's why I say, you guys, you have to be discerning. Even when you put on like music, let's say you're crying over somebody, and what do we do when we be sad? We'll put on some sad love songs, right? We just be sitting there crying, listening to this song talking about, oh, he left me, and oh, I hope he finds someone better, oh, woe is me. And what you're being fed off of, because you're just dwelling in that energy, you're just sitting in it and just sitting in it. Do not make decisions when you're emotionally imbalanced, when you're conflicted, when you're angry, because you're not in your right mind. You're not in your right mind when you do that. You're not clear. Anything that you need to know, anything that you need help with, anything that you need to know, all I can say is this, because this is all we have at the end of the day. If no one's available, because there has been times where no one was available for me to talk to, I would have to go to God and pray and ask God to give me clarity, to ask God to give me peace. There will be periods where I'd be like, woe is me, I just want to give up, I just want to die, like those types of things. And you have to be careful with that too. You can't feed that spirit of suicide, because that is a spirit. You can't feed into those things. And when you get into a place where you don't know what to do, all you have left is to go to your source. And sometimes that is what brings you closer to God. The things, certain things, some things that happen in a way that could have been used for your bad. Like, let's say you had excuse my language, you had a bad day. You had a bad day. And then you watch something that made it worse. And then you can't find the clarity that you need. You're spiraling, you're sad, you're conflicted, you're confused. There's nobody to talk to. And sometimes when you're in that space, that's the moment that leads you to connect with source. I say God, but you got to be specific sometimes to say divine, most high God, creator, I don't know, heavenly father. And I don't want to indoctrinate anybody or anything like that. What I'm saying is that if you don't have a connection to anything, not even yourself, you're always going to be led astray. You don't have a divine connection to source, being, your creator that's infinite, that's highly intelligent, that can outsmart even the smartest devil, smartest demon, that can outsmart the smartest man in the universe. You got to trust in that. Numbers are just messengers, they're codes. And that's another thing too. Like, be discerning of like what this person and that person says. Oh, this means that. If I'm looking up a number meaning, I don't go off of just because it's just, oh, this person posted it. I'll find something that resonates, that speaks to me, because God speaks to us in different ways. Just like different things within the universe, I'll speak in a way that makes sense. Anything else in the universe, there's light forces and there's dark forces in the universe. Dark forces will also try to duplicate what the divine does, tries to duplicate things and show you signs and synchronicities. And I've always said this to people, and I've learned this the hard way, that just because I get a number or I see this person's name or some type of synchronicity happens, it's not always coming from divine source. Sometimes it's something deceptive, or we can mislead ourselves by putting our own spin on it without getting divine clarity or confirmation. Was that a divine message? If so, what are you saying? I'm confused, God. What are you trying to say? What does this mean? Why am I seeing this person's name? Or why am I seeing 1111? Or why am I seeing 444? What does this mean for me specifically? I always do that. So I learned that the hard way, because a lot of things will be convincing. I've had it so many times. Like, oh, I thought that this guy was the one because I saw this and I saw that. And then the next guy, same thing. You have to be discerning. We all can be deceived. It's not, oh, I'm doomed. You don't get caught up in that. Okay, I messed up. Oh, I had I don't know. I don't like calling them mistakes, but I made an error. I made an error. So don't get caught up in, oh, I did something wrong, and nothing like that. Okay? So I will say this, Jeannie. I pray that you find peace, and whatever that spirit is that you feel on you, please lift it off of you. Like, I pray that it lifts off whatever that is on you or over you that makes you feel anxious, because it's not God. If it's not, and I'll say this too, manifestation is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Like, we're supposed to create. We're supposed to manifest. It's just, and what I'm manifesting isn't in divine alignment with me. And a lot of times, if it's not in divine alignment with you, it's not going to manifest. It's not supposed to manifest if it's not. And we're also powerful too. You got to think of it this way. We can also manifest things with our mind. We can project things into our reality if we think about something hard enough. Okay, my bad. My sister was calling me. It's probably my signal to go. But yeah, manifestation is not a bad thing. And again, when you're connected with your source, you're in tune with self, you're in tune with source, you're in alignment. Whatever you manifest, whatever you desire, it has to stem from that divine place, because you're already in alignment with divine. If you're not in alignment with yourself, you're not in alignment with God and who you're destined to be in this physical reality, yeah, you can step out of that and manifest something, or attempt to manifest things that are not of your highest good. Thankfully, sometimes things that are not of our highest good to be like manifesting or trying to put ourselves in will get blocked. Thankfully, anything that gets blocked that's not of your highest good is a blessing. Some things that what we like, we'll want things out of our ignorance. We'll want things out of our woundedness. So not every desire we have stems from the heart. It can stem from our ego. It can stem from our woundedness. So when certain things don't manifest, be grateful for that. Because a lot of times later down the line, you'll be like, oh, I wanted this guy so bad. I wanted this guy so bad, blah, blah, blah. And I try to manifest him. And then later on, you'll see why it didn't happen. Why you didn't. You just got to be grateful for that. Yeah, I do pray for you, Jeannie. Whatever that is that you're dealing with, like, no, and I don't know if you were here when I said this, but we have divine authority and dominion over this earth. And when I say this, when God gave us that dominion over this earth, we're up against something else that's here. These demonic spirits and stuff, they're not here legally. They're only here for a time. So these forces and these spirits that play on us and the lower vibrations, when we get in those states of negative thinking and fear and depression, that's not our natural state of being. That's not our natural state of thinking and feeling. It happens, this physical reality, certain things happen to cause that, whether it's death, whether we get sick, whether loved ones are sick, whether we experience seeing things that cause traumatic experiences. I can go further into this, but it's going to take forever to do that. And I don't know if we have time to do all of that. But that is not our natural state of being. Certain things that take place in the universe and things like that, things happen because it's already a spirit that aligns with it. So let's say, for instance, a spirit of murder, right? Someone that's already dwelling in that energy, you're going to be easily receptible. I'm not talking about victims. I have to be careful how I'm saying this. But let's say a person that is the murderer. They already have that type of mindset and beingness. So that spirit of murder can easily dwell over them and come over them and be used. That's just how it works. If a person is of a good spirit or has a good heart, naturally, they're going to have it in them to want to do good things. They want to be there for people. So every spirit needs a host. If I'm receptible to a lower vibrational energy, something that feeds me at the time is going to find me. If I'm in a high vibration, a spirit of high vibrational energy is going to align with me. That's just what it is. So I pray that, because I can't talk about this. I can't talk about this because it's like, I don't want to offend anybody. And I'm not saying that anything I'm saying is definite law and definite truth, because, like I said, I'm a human and I can only express it in the way that I'm getting it, how it's being shown to me. So I don't want to be insensitive to anyone. I just would say this, that you have to pray for understanding and have God show you things personally, like for you personally, whatever it is that you're questioning, whatever it is that you want to know, whatever it is you need help with, you have to seek the Creator. And And I would say this too, because I don't deal with religion in that sense, to where like in doctrine and this perfect Christian type thing. I don't resonate with that, because we all fall short. But it's all about our integrity. It's all about our willingness to seek God. That's all that I can say. And it's not easy. It comes to a place where you're not going to be able to get answers outside of yourself. But that's, fortunately, when you're not able to get answers outside of yourself, the world can't give it to you, man can't give it to you. Um, that's not good. It shouldn't be scary to pray. You, it shouldn't be scary to pray. Like, that doesn't sound right. It's that you got to break through that fear. It's a ceiling. So think about it like this. That fear that you feel, you got to break through that ceiling. It's an illusion. It's not real. You have to pray until something breaks. That's what I've been taught. You got to pray until something breaks, something moves. If no one believes in the power of God, I'm telling you, I'm telling you. And I only say this because of experience. I'm not saying anything out of religion, like, oh, you need to come to Jesus. Nothing like that. Because that type of stuff, it don't, like I said, I don't deal with religion and how they talk about Jesus and stuff. He wasn't religious. He spoke against those people that were like that, because they were judgmental. They were going around telling him, oh, don't do it like this. That's not tradition. You're supposed to do it like that. And Jesus was like, I do what I'm led to do, what God tells me to do. He was the Son of God. How is somebody else going to tell the Son of God how to run things? He was led to do things how he was led to. Yes, pray without ceasing. You got to pray until something breaks. And like I said, it's fortunate. There's a fortunate thing in not having people to go to when you're in your toughest moment, your darkest hour, because that's what's going to lead you to the light. You have to seek God for yourself. This is the thing that I've been saying. We have to seek our Creator for ourselves. And what that means is not based off of what people tell us God is or what we should think God is, but we seek God for ourselves. That's what I'm saying. Like, y'all don't get it. I'm not saying this in a religious sense. I'm saying your understanding of God, you have to seek that for self. What is God? Who is God? What is God like? What does God feel like? Does God exist? I want to seek that out for myself. That's what I mean. God, show me. Sometimes I've done it like, God, are you even real? Like, do you even really exist? Do you even care about me? Sometimes you gotta be raw like that. You have to. You have to seek God for yourself. I'm not talking about, oh, God is gonna do this, he's gonna strike you down type. No. You have to seek God for you, your own way, your own relationship with God. My relationship with God is not going to be the same as yours. It's like your father. The father has many children, right? But your father or your mother, they're not going to, when they have personal conversations with you, they're not going to talk the same language or the same way that they talk to the younger sibling or the older sibling or the middle child. The middle child is their own person. They have their own personal quirks and personal things, and the older child. So when the parent speaks to them in their privacy, they have their own relationship. They're all loved just the same. God's energy is infinite. It's unconditional. There's no cap. There's no limit. So my relationship with God is different than yours. What God will show you will be different for you, vice versa. You have to seek that out for yourself. And I'll say this, people demonize the name Jesus and people get all in their panties in a bunch. But like my sister said, she said something so funny and it's so true. I've had experiences where I've had sleep paralysis, where I've experienced like a demon like holding me down in my sleep. And what breaks this, Even when I couldn't say the words, in my mind and in my heart, all I could say was Jesus. These things would lift right off of me. I remember one of my other sisters telling me about her experience where she had like this guy coming to her, like a succubus or something, was like on her, like trying to be dirty with her, and she said she couldn't say anything, but the only thing she can get out of her mouth is Jesus. She's not a religious person. But my sister, what she was saying, she was like, I've never casted out no demon saying Ra or Oshun or whoever. There's something about that name Jesus that holds spiritual power in the spirit realm, and demons don't like that name for some reason. Yes, they created the name Jesus because the J word was not around. The letter J was not in existence at the time of Jesus. His name is Yeshua, at least from what we know. But there's something about that name that demons don't like. They flee. So I will say this. When you are dealing with those things, say, I break this, or I cover myself, I cover my mind. Anything that's in my mind that's causing fear, confusion, anxiety, depression, I pray over my mind, I pray over my heart, I pray over my soul, I pray over my body, I pray over my space. Anything that I've opened up illegally or in my ignorance, I ask that you close all spiritual doors and all spiritual portals right now in the name of Jesus, whatever. That's a powerful, I don't know what it is, a tool. Something about that name, I'm saying right now. I ain't never got rid of nothing saying, I rebuke you in the name of Pokemon or something. Like, it just, in the name of Ganesh. I'm not being disrespectful because I love me some Ganesh, but that name in itself is very powerful. In itself. And I'm proof of that, and so many other people are proof of that. Even people that don't even go to church. Something about it. That's not the first time I've heard people say that. Like, they've had those experiences, and those things just lift right off of them. Like, immediately. Isis, Oshun, Ra, whoever, like, I cast you out in the name of Isis. Like, what we doing? Like, I'm not being disrespectful because I resonate with these things, but I'm just trying to help paint a picture here, like help somebody. I can only do so much over here, but I hope that something is breaking, and I hope I'm helping. And the other people in the chat, I appreciate you, Queen Core. I thank you for helping, because we can only do so much. Again, at the end of the day, it's why I stress this so much, that we have to have our own relationship with God and what God means to us. We have to have that, especially during these times that we're in, because there's so much that's shifting. There's so much fear, and there's so much, oh, this is going to happen in the universe, or this and that. Oh, the government's doing this and the government's doing that. And you can get caught up in what man says. Got to connect with God. That's all I can say. Point blank, period. Point blank, period. The end. That's all I can say. Because I don't know your personal experience. I don't know what God has called you to personally, what your specific wounds are. God can reveal things to me. You've said it. You've said it out of your own mouth. You've dealt with depression. You deal with anxiety. You deal with fear. Those are not of God. Those spirits, these are things that we deal with as humans. A lot of these things stem from experiences. A lot of them come from our spaces of wounding, and they're open doors for spirits to infiltrate and mess around with you. We've all dealt with it. Just, you got to think of things like this. We're spiritual. We're spiritual beings. We have souls. We have spiritual bodies. We are dwelling in this 3D reality where it's pretty much like, might as well be the closest thing to hell. It's not heaven. Okay. Ooh, Lord. Oh, wow. That's crazy, Ruby. But you got to think of everything as energy and of spirit. So if it's not of a good spirit, and you say that you're of a good spirit, and you want to be of a high vibration, anything that is not of that, it's your job to put it in check. It's your job to cast it out. And if you can't, and you feel like you can't, or you feel like you don't know how, that's when you call on your spiritual team. That's when you call on God. That's when you call on God. Because like I said, those spirits are illegal. They're not of natural states of being. Everything in this reality has to exist for its own divine purpose. But that's not our natural state of being. It's not who we are in our natural state. I hope I'm not like going like off, because it's just like it's just and I don't know everything either. That's enough. I don't know everything. Like, I'm not saying that people have to agree with what I'm saying. I'm not a spiritual guru. I'm not above anybody. I'm just a divine vessel, and I'm only sharing the experiences in the best way that I know how to express. And when God calls me and tells me to, I'm breaking. And I'll be honest with you guys, I got so caught up in the conscious stuff, and I'm a goddess and we're gods, and all of this queen stuff. I got so caught up in that. My ego got so caught up in that there was a, maybe I need to refresh it. I don't know. Yeah, hopefully it's back. I don't know what happened, because I had a call and it just like turned everything black. But it was a time, where I didn't even like the name Jesus would make me cringe, that was really weird. Like, I couldn't say it. It was like I couldn't, even with everything that I knew and everything that I was coming into and stuff like that about spiritual things and spiritual, like, something about that name made me cringe. So at that time, because I was all into this, I'm a god, goddess, and I was watching certain things and certain people in my ignorance. So you got to be careful with certain things. Yes, our history has been tainted with, things have been whitewashed, whitewashed out, a whole bunch of stuff being added and taken away from. So we got to be careful with certain things and spirituality. And when I say careful, I'm not saying like in a place of being spooked or being scared. Careful means to be careful, like be full of care. You got to be full of care when it comes to your spiritual self, when it comes to your being and what you allow in, what you're listening to, and what you're watching. Bless you. What you trying to do? Trying to get out? Where are you trying to go, mama? But yeah, it's pressure right now. It's spiritual pressure. It's not easy. It's not an easy transition. And when you've been called to certain things, you feel like you're breaking. And those that are the chosen vessels to be the shift and the change in the times that we're in, sometimes your fight is a little harder than everybody else. Your story feels like the most misfortunate one, above everybody else. You feel like you're the odd one out. You feel like you're the least liked, or you're the one that's casted out, or you're the most misunderstood, or you're the most that's unloved, or no, there's nothing that can be done with you. You're just a throwaway. When that happens, your fight is a little harder, because just being you and who you are and who you've been called to be, you have to have a thick skin. You have to have a strong character, because like I said earlier, when you've been called to be that divine transition for people, or you come in and you're supposed to shift the frequency of the environment, of your space, of your state, of your school, of your job, of your city, of your generation, whatever your point of influence is going to be, or is what you've been destined and called to be, you're not going to be a mass majority popular person. You're not going to be a mass majority favorite, but you are going to be very influential. You're going to have people that rock with you, and those are the few that you need to appreciate. Those are your divine team. Those are your soul tribe. The mass majority is not going to love the transitioners because you're in the matrix. You know what I mean? This is a place where people are plugged into the superficial thing. So, like I said, if I'm sleeping in my bed and I'm in a dark room and someone comes in to turn the light on, I'm going to be hella mad because I want to go back to sleep. You got to think of it that way. When you walk into a space where people are sleeping and you turn the lights on, or you are that light, you come into the room, they're not going to be pleased. So don't take it personally. It's not something to take personal. So your fight is going to be a little bit stronger in your period where spirit is pressuring. Spirit is like pressing you. When you think of the olive, you got to crush the olive to get the oil out of it. Olive oil is like a very popular it's like a sacred anointing tool that people use to anoint things. They use olive oil as blessing oil. They pray over it, they bless it. It's one of those things, those sacred things that we use. Florida water is, I guess you could say, like, it's more of the popular thing, but olive oil is the sacred oil, right? So when you're going through your consecration period is that spirit, that period of where you go through your pressure, where your ego is being starved. The things that your ego is used to, even the things that make your ego feel good, or the things that your ego is used to dwelling in dark spaces, or negative thinking about self, low self-esteem, anxiety, fear, doubt, depression, the things that your ego is comfortable with, is being starved. So it will feel like you're dying because there's a part of self that's dying. That part of you that has to be lifted off. In order for you to be of a sacred use to a divine purpose and mission, you have to go through consecration. And that's what a lot of us have gone through. For some of us, it's been years. There's periods where you felt like nothing was happening in your life. There was no new beginnings, no change. You're stuck at a job that you hate. You're dating life sucks, or there's no dating life, where you feel like you're lonely, you feel like nobody gets you, or you've lost friends, people have left your life, you might have lost some people to death. It feels like punishment. And the lower part of self and those spirits will have you believe that you are the problem, that you are cursed, that you are not good enough, that you deserve this is your life. You can't feed into that. You have to be very careful with that. Because when the darkest hours, and I said this for a reason, the genie, when you're in your darkest hours, that's where you need to seek God. Remember how I was saying that when you have nothing else, all you have is that. Because you came through this birth canal alone. Even if you were in a womb with another person, if you had twins or triplets you were in the womb with, you still came out first by yourself. And that's not to say that this is a lonely road or anything like that, but we all are different sources of light, and different sources of light have their own cord and connection to source. So you have your own connection with source, and it has to remain there from the beginning to the end. You got to have that connection to source. Yes, you have your soul tribe. Yes, you'll have your soul family, but they're not always going to be around because they too have their own source to God. So there's going to be moments where you have to do that, and it's not a punishment. It's actually for your advantage to bring you closer. Addiction is an easy gateway for spirits to come in. Hell yeah. Anything that is used as a stronghold or a weapon against you can be broken, can be released, can be removed, can be dispelled. Anything. Like I said, these things are powerful, but they're not of that. And we have to be careful of the words that we speak over ourselves, and that's something that I've been working with too, working on myself is the things that I've been speaking over myself. I'll say things like, oh, I'm stupid. Oh, this is never gonna get. When you get in that place where you get in that cloudy energy, so think of it as you get in a space where it's like a dark cloud that dwells over your mind, and then you're just like, I don't know if you guys ever seen this commercial. I think it was like a commercial for antidepressant pills at the time, and it was like this little pill. I think it was supposed to be a pill. It had eyes and mouth, and it had a little face or whatever, and it was always like roaming around all depressed and dark, and it had this constant cloud of rain always on it, and it followed that person. It will feel like that. You'll feel that's the spirit that comes over you when you're in that space. Like, it just remains. It's an energy. That's the best way that I can describe it in a practical sense. Like, if you think of it from like illustrated point of view, that would be the best depiction. It feels like that. Like, it's this dark cloud that just follows you no matter where you go, no matter what environment you're in. You could be on a vacation at a 5-star hotel somewhere out in the country. You could be in Greece and still have that dark cloud over you, because it's a spirit. It's a being. It's an energy that's over a person. It's nothing wrong with you. I want people to understand that. And yeah, it could be chemical imbalances, but there's also things that dwell in the spiritual body. There's cords connected to different things, different, like I said, this goes deep. Generational things, things that you've watched, things that you've listened to, things that you've heard, people you're connected to, people you talk to over the phone, because you can transfer energy over a phone. You can transfer energy over the internet. You can transfer energy over a thought of a person, speaking of a person speaking of you. That's why I say you gotta be careful who you talk to, who you connect with. It's definitely who you have sex with, because you're plugging another person's energy into you, or you're plugging yourself into another person's portal energy. You're inserting yourself into somebody's portal, and vice versa. So you have to be very mindful of the exchange and who you're having it with, what is on their mind. Because I can take on a person's mindset by sleeping with them. It's happened before. You start talking like them, you start dressing like them. Sometimes people even start to look alike after they slept together for so many years. You start taking on their habits, whether it's being around them, whether it's sleeping with them. You start taking on all of their drama, their pain, and they take on yours. And you gotta be careful. That's what I'm saying, y'all. And again, careful. I'm not saying this in a place of fear and spookiness. I'm saying it as being full of care of self and care of energy and other people's energy. If I'm not right, I don't need to be sleeping with you. I don't need to be dating you. If I just slept with another person and I'm coming to you and I'm exchanging their energy with you and we're all messed up, fucked up, excuse my language, you gotta be careful and mindful of your space, of your energy. Okay? Yes, absolutely. Definitely. You can't do these things off of your mere strength. It's the source that is in you, the light that is in self, that source of God in you. You can't do this by yourself. Like, it's not going to come from drinking it away. It's not going to come from smoking it away, shopping it away, going to this place, going to that place, hanging out with this person and that. It's not going to go away. Have you ever dealt with that, where you got something dwelling inside of you that hurts, but you think that, oh, if I just go hang out with this friend, it's going to make it better? Like, they might help, but they're not going to be the remedy to take that away. And we don't always have to understand exactly what it is that we deal with. Just going to the source creator, which knows everything anyway, which knows you, which knows what you're going through. When you just say to yourself, I don't know what I'm doing, like, be honest and earnest and say, I don't know what I'm doing. I need your help. I need your help until something falls off of me. I need your help until something breaks. I need help until I have clarity, till I have peace. Some people drive themselves crazy to the point where they can't take it anymore. And I really, because I've dealt with the spirit of suicide personally, for myself, or within myself, and with people, loved ones. I've lost people to suicide. So it's a thing, it's a spirit, and you can't feed it, you can't dwell in it. And I have to say this again, and I want someone to get this in their mind whenever they have a thought. of suicide or feeling like their life is not worth it. Do not feed into it. But I want you to remember this, that if you deal with that thing, remind yourself that there's something that's trying to take me out of here. There's something, it must be something about me that is a force to be reckoned with if I have something coming in telling me to leave, because God is a giver of life. And we know that death comes rebirth, but a death that is something that is not, and I have to be careful how I say this, but I'm going to say this again. God is a God of renewal, is a God of life, God of new beginnings, a God of joy, peace, and clarity. So if there's anything, especially if it's a thought that tells you you're not worthy, that is a lie. I don't care if anybody tries to explain it away. I've dealt with the spirit of suicide, so you can't tell me that, oh, well, you don't understand because people just got, it's, no, that's not normal. Especially if you dealt with spirits before, you've seen spirits manifested, you've seen demons manifested, you've had to cast out a demon out of people, demons casted out of you. You know, but that's not, it's not a normal, that's not normal. It may be something that is common, but it's not normal. So if you ever have a thought that you're not supposed to be here, or you hate your life, or nobody cares, that type of thinking is not coming from God. That's not a source that is edifying you. So just that in your mind, you got to tell yourself, okay, I got to fight through this. I need to get out of this mindset. And if I can't do it by myself, I need to pray my way through it. Or I need to hit somebody up. I need to call someone to help me through this. But if anything sticks out, anything that sticks to you and reminds you of this, there must be something about me that's really, really powerful, a force to be reckoned with, something of a higher purpose that this spirit is telling me to take my life and try to take me out of here and tell me my life is not worth living, or that things are never going to get better, or this is just my life, or this happened to me, so I don't think I can live. I can't live without this person, or I can't live without this. I can't do this. Anything that's trying to convince you to leave here prematurely before your time, I want you to tell yourself this and remind yourself of this. Get it in your spirit. I'm a force to be reckoned with. There's something that I'm appointed to. There's some type of divine calling on my life that must be something significant for this spirit to try to take me out. It's something trying to take me out of here. And some of the most stubborn spirits dwell on people that have higher callings, that have something that they're supposed to be doing. Age has nothing to do with your influence. Like I was saying earlier, and I would say this, if you're only 15, you shouldn't be watching readings. You shouldn't be, I wouldn't suggest anybody under 18, and that's just me personally, because it's like a responsibility as a reader. I feel like there's certain things that kids shouldn't be watching. But your level of influence is not measured off of your age, how much you know and how much you don't know. If God called you to something, God called you for a reason. And I was just talking about the story of Jeremiah in the Bible. Jeremiah was trying to reason with God and try to explain away why he was being called for a purpose, saying, I'm too young. I can't do this. I'm too young. And God was like, I already know who I called you to be. And that's the thing. Even if we don't know who we're supposed to be, who we're called to be, what our purpose is, even if we don't see it and we don't know it, these beings know. They know what you're appointed to do. So their job is, you got to think of it as a battle. You got to, if you're going to watch The Matrix, it's the agent, right? Let's take the agent as the adversary and Neo as you, the person that's here to shift things. He had to fight the agent, and at the end of the, I think it was the first Matrix, he had to fight the agent, and the agent kept doubling up, like manifesting into more agents. In the spirit realm, These agents don't want to break this reality, or what the so-called reality is. They want to keep up the status quo. They want to keep up the illusion. So if you come here and they see on you, oh, this person is chosen, they a Neo. Oh, we can't have that. We can't have that. We can't have that. So you have to think of it that way. Shift your perception from thinking that you're here with no purpose and no reason, and you're not good enough, and I'm this and I'm that. You have to shift your perception into saying, there's a reason why I'm here. I don't know what that is. If you want to know, seek God and to reveal that to you. And if you feel like you've been called to be a singer, that you've been called to inspire people through your singing, through your voice, then that's something that you gotta feed more into, put your focus into that, and ask God to lead you into the right things, to put you in the right spaces, to have favor over your life in certain areas, whether it be that you're supposed to be in the the entertainment business, or you travel and you just do your own thing. You're not signed to any labels. You do things independently. Whatever you're called to do, you be in that place of divine will to know what you're doing. Because, and I'm probably going to do a video on this because I was guided to in California, but nothing came to me. God just gave me the topic, and I feel like it's going to come to me at whenever the right time is. But I feel like there are people in Hollywood that are divine chosen vessels, and they're amongst a lot of agents. They're amongst a lot of people that, Hollywood in itself is an illusion. It's a spell casted. It's entertainment. It's not real. So there's a lot of chosen vessels that look like they are a part of it. They look like everybody else, but there's something different. They're supposed to shift things, and I feel that those specific people, those chosen vessels that are in Hollywood, actually feel trapped. They feel slaved because they can't be their authentic self. A lot of them have voices. A lot of them are transition. They're here to bring transitions and shifts, but signing contracts. And that's why I say I feel like God allows us to be in spaces, in the most likely spaces that are meant to be. So let's say, for instance, the Hollywood thing, everybody knows it's not what it seems. It's some sinister things going on and stuff like that. It's like it's not a place for someone that is supposed to be of light, right? It's not supposed to be. But if God appointed you to be kind of like an agent of the Spirit of God, of the kingdom of God, rather than an agent of the illusion of the false reality, God will put you in those spaces. Some people are not supposed to be in that. That's why I say that you have to be called to go into certain things. It might look like a blessing. They're offering you $1 million, and they offering you this sponsorship and blah blah blah, and you think it's good, and you're signing your whole life away. So you have to be discerning. But I'll probably do a video on that. I've heard some things with K-pop artists, and it's like slave contracts. I feel sorry for them, but I feel like those that are chosen vessels in the music industry, or just not just in the music industry, like whether it's acting, whether it's anything in the entertainment world, I feel that it might take, and it's kind of hard. I'm gonna trust God on this. I don't know where this is going, and I don't know when this topic is gonna come up, like why God wants me to talk about that, but it'll be a time where I do it. But because it hasn't gone well for those that have spoke up and stuff like that. Like they get in, or just through conspiracy, allegedly, when they speak about things, they get taken out. So I could see why, if that's truly the case, why some people would, in that industry would not want to speak up, because they don't want to lose their career. And sometimes death is not physical death for them. I feel like it's ruining their career and them not having one. But that is the sacrifice. Sometimes you have to make that because, like I said, you're not going to be loved by the majority of people. As long as you're jucking and jiving and stuff like that for people, and you're playing the role, you're playing the game, and you're appeasing people, you're doing what is standard in society, people will love you. But once you go against that and you follow, not rebel so much, it's not so much of rebellion, but when you come in the name of light, in the name of God, that's when people don't mess with you. They don't want to do it. And it's something about that. So it's not going to be an easy transition for everyone, whatever side of the coin you're on, whether you call yourself a regular person or you're in the industry or something like that. It's not an easy transition. And you got to think about the Israelites. Their story in itself is inspirational because they've gone through everything. They've gone through slavery, oppression. They've gone through death and murder. They've gone through ups and downs where they strayed away from their faith, and they tried to take on other people's gods and other people's traditions and do things like everybody else. But God still had grace upon them. God still had a promise for them. And getting to the promised land, they had to go through different things. They had to, the Moses. They had the period where they were under Moses or walking with Moses, and Joshua. They had all these different periods in time to get to that place, but that promise still stands. So that's what you got to remember. There's something that is promised to me. There's something that God has for me. And my process is not easy. I just didn't get born into easiness. I didn't just get born into everything just flows for me. And for some people, maybe your life seemingly, you had everything growing up. You had the latest sneakers, the shoes, the gadgets. You lived in a nice house. You lived in a nice neighborhood. But maybe within your home, there was a lot of traumatic experiences. There was a lot of abuse in your home. You didn't get nurtured and loved the way that you wanted to. You felt casted out. You never felt like you fit in. So everybody's story is different. Everybody's trials and tribulations is different. But the thing that's different about those that go through their trials and tribulations is they have a testimony, because your testimony is something that's going to be inspirational for somebody else. This isn't a life of suffering. You're not meant to suffer. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to go through your consecration purpose, because if you're of a divine vessel and you've been appointed with a divine purpose and calling over your life, it's guaranteed that you're going to go through the pressure. You're going to, all that gunk, all of that stuff that is not of you, that is not truly you, has to be squished out of you. All the traumas and all of that, you have to heal. You have to forgive, because when you're a pure, clear vessel, you can be used as a portal of light to step in and do what you got to do with no boundaries, with no blockages, with no traumas. Not to say that you don't have any fears and you won't doubt or question things, but your faith has got to be in a place that you can't fall over every time something happens to you. You live in a reality. We live in this physical society that has been geared a certain way, and by shifting it and changing it, it's not going to make everybody happy. When you turn the lights on, the roaches is about to scatter. Like, nothing is going to be hidden anymore, if it is at all. Some people have the eyes to see things already and see what's going on, and some people, they're going to get the lights on and they're going to see the roaches start like, oh shit, I thought this place was clean. Oh no, there's roaches here. Excuse my language. There's roaches here. There's roaches there. It's all kind of chaos. It's dirty. It's filth. And that's why people don't want the lights on. So, just remind yourself of that. There's so much more for you. It's not about being influential so that you get the glory, so that everybody loves you and sees you, and so for you to be popular. It's not about that. It's not for the glory of you. It's for the glory of the kingdom. It's the kingdom of light. It's the kingdom of love. That's what this is about. Returning back to love is returning back to all that is. The heart chakra is the gateway. That is the gateway. So, I'm about to get off of here. I don't even know how long I was on here. It's an energy gateway. The heart chakra is the gate. It's the gate. You know how they, that depiction of Jesus that they show, they have the sacred heart. The heart in his chest is like burning and it has a crown over it. That is the kingdom of God. You know how they talk about the kingdom of God is within you? It really is. I mean, there's different points. Your body itself is a temple, but is a spiritual temple. So what dwells in it is, you know, but the heart chakra represents the portal. That is the gateway. The heart. You ever wonder why the Bible always says to forgive? Like, if you can't forgive your enemy, I can't forgive you. So it's not saying that God doesn't love you, but it's like, if you can't simply love and forgive, because I forgive, it's like God loves unconditionally. God created us. God is merciful. God is all those things that we wish that our spouse or our friends, our family would be. God is unconditionally loving. As humans, we can't fathom that infinity as humans, right? We've been conditioned, we've been brainwashed, we've been programmed. So that essence of God is almost unfathomable. You can't put it into a box. So when God says, if I can love all of y'all and all y'all craziness, because I created you, why can't you love your neighbor? Why can't you forgive this person? And it doesn't mean that you love what they do and what they've done to you, but you can forgive that person. And it's not for them, but it's for you. It's to free yourself of the attachment of what happened, the attachment of the past and what this person said to you and what they did to you. It's to free you of that. By holding on to bitterness, anger, wanting to hurt the person, wanting to get revenge on them, that's only tainting your spirit. It's only holding you back. That's another thing too, the spirit of murder. I feel like that might be something that's being annihilated, because that's not the first time I spoke about murder. I don't know why. But when you think about that, where people are like, oh, I gotta get him back because he did this to me, oh, he stole this from me, oh, he did this and he did that. And it's like this spirit that just comes over a person that has to get that revenge. And it only leads into more unfoldment of bad things. It's a cycle. Sometimes, oh, that person got this person, people coming to get them, and vice versa. And it's a cycle. And then people are getting hurt in the process. Mothers are losing their sons. And it's all kind of different things that unfolds under those energies, under those spirits. So if you're under that place of unforgiveness and bitterness, it manifests itself into jealousy. It manifests itself into you being stuck in life. You can't free yourself of that. You don't know how to have joy anymore because you still cut up on what this person did to you. And it's not saying to love the thing and that you're excusing what they've done, what they said to you. And it's not easy to forgive people that have harmed you, that have raped you, that did this, that did that. Some people had moments in time with people that have hurt them over and over and over again. So it's going to be a little harder to forgive a person that has constantly hurt you or hurt people that you love. But it's a place of freeing you spiritually. You got to free yourself from that. Any fragments of myself that was connected to this time frame or this person, God, I call those parts of me back into wholeness. Any holes within my soul or within my heart, in my space, I ask that you fill it up with you, with your joy, your peace, your love. I seek forgiveness for myself for not knowing any better. For anything that I've done to hurt anybody, I ask for forgiveness and spirit from them. I ask for you to forgive me. I ask to forgive this person with an earnest heart for everything that they've done to me, everything that they said. I pray for their peace. Whatever your will is over their life, God, but I pray that you give me peace. I pray for forgiveness, or I forgive this person for what they've done. I forgive this person. And some of you may be able to forgive because you understood where they came from. Maybe this person was young. Maybe this person was in their ignorance. Maybe this person's parents did the same thing that they did to you, so on and so forth. Maybe you'll be able to understand it. And for some things, it's not going to be easy to understand it. This person took my family member. They did this, you know. They took my family member out of my life. I don't know how I can forgive that. But instead, I don't want to hold on to the pain. I want to release it. I forgive this person. I forgive them for my family member so that their spirit can be in peace. I forgive whatever, however you want to state it. But it's for your spiritual peace. It's for your freedom. What, Nova? So that you can sleep at night. So you don't have that spirit of bitterness. Because those spirits manifest into sicknesses and into cancers and stuff like that. You don't want to hold on to that all of your life. You don't want to block your blessings. The heart chakra, your heart has to be the heart. That's another thing too. Bless you. The thing about the heart is that not only is it a gateway, but it's a place of receiving. It's a place of giving and receiving, right? Because God is unconditional. So if your portal is blocked, if your heart chakra is blocked, you're not able to receive, or you're not able to give, at least not in a healthy way. So if you're trying to manifest things, you're trying to have a new life, new beginning, if your heart is blocked due to bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness, heartache that you haven't healed, healing is not fun. It's not a fun process. It's not easy. Sometimes it's hard to look at the self and admit things to yourself that you don't want to see, but it's so important. It's important to your spiritual health, to your emotional health, to your mental health, to your physical health. It's important to heal. So if your heart chakra is blocked, you have to work on it. You have to ask God to instill peace in your heart. And it takes time. That's something that I know all too well. Because I'm a person of, I can hold a grudge against someone and not ever speak to them again. And I can also hold on to things and hold on to people emotionally when I need to just let it go. So I know what that's like. But in order to, move forth in life, your heart has to be in a healthy state of receptivity and flow so that new things can come forth and that you can give and receive from a healthy place of being. Okay? So I'm going to leave it there. I mean it. I'm really gone this time. I'm really getting off this side, I promise. Okay. Well, this was... All right, baby. Hold on. I'm going to let you out, okay? Hold on. Gotta let my dog out. I think she has to go potty. But, yeah. I'm going to leave it here. I thought I was going to pull cards again, but nope. That didn't need to happen. That didn't need to happen. But I appreciate you guys. If this message was for you, it resonated. If you feel like you need to pass this on to someone that it may help or benefit, I would appreciate it. And if anything, if you don't get anything out of this, know that your life is worth living and you do have a purpose. We all have a purpose. And that you seek God for yourself and your own understanding of who and what God is and what it means to you. And that's it. Much love as always. I appreciate you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.